Only 3 goaltenders in the IHL have played more games this season than Rich Perrott. This will be his 26th of the season, second overall in the I with a 2.27 goals against average. And at the other end, it's Mike Torchia, who has pretty much split time this season with Tim Cheveldae for the Fort Wayne Komets. Torchia 4-7-2 with a 3.58 goals against average. Steve Ludzik knows it's a home game, knows his club is far ahead of Fort Wayne in the point race, but thinks he's got a tough road to get 2 out of here tonight ahead of him. While John Torchetti is 3-1-1 since taking over back on December the 6th for Fort Wayne in place of Dave Farish. He began the season in San Antonio as the assistant coach under Jeff Brubaker. Denny LaRue is the referee. Dave Cassidy and Russ Johnson are the linesmen, and we're underway as Detroit wins the draw at center. Vipers in their home whites with the red numerals and the aqua trim and their eggplant pants. Dirk moves it ahead at center, and it's dumped in by Ivan Korovo into the Fort Wayne zone. Sean Evans sends it up the far side. Broughton got it to the line, but not out as Dirk kept it in, and now it's flipped past him and out to center ice. Komets in their road blacks with orange and white trim and white numerals. Todd Simon at center for Detroit looking for Korovo. That knocked away by Dupuis. And into the Detroit zone, Shaw wheeling back with it. Headmans it for Korovo, who drops it for his centerman Simon. Into the Fort Wayne zone, drop pass to Korovo. Left side, tried to feed it back to the slot, but he was taken out of the play by Liam Garvey, who just held him up. Back come the Komets off the skate of Murphy. It caroms back, and Duncanson rims it around the boards in behind the Detroit net. The K's go for a change. Peter McLaughlin, the Viper rookie defenseman, out of his own zone with Bobby J, the veteran. And to center, Bobby J just steers it into the Fort Wayne zone. This will be touched up by Garvey. And the first whistle of the hockey game, an icing call against Detroit. A minute 3 into it. We talked so much about how the Vipers have a tall order tonight, and Steve Ludzik knows it to try to get a win. Here is why. Key Vipers out of the lineup because of injuries. Ian Herber's a stalwart on the blue line. The captain, Drulia. Dan Kessel, one of 5 players on the team with 11 goals. And Phil Crow, the plus-minus leader on the hockey club before his elbow injury. And that does not include Sergei Samsonov, the rookie sensation who left yesterday to join the Russian World Junior Championship team, which will take place in the World Junior Tournament beginning December 26th in Geneva.
And Ludzik just trying to come up with the right ingredients. He had players arrive today that weren't even available to skate this morning.
Garvey off the draw, flips it to the far wall. One of those players who was at the morning skate, back with the Vipers after beginning the season there, Steve Walker, and he's got the puck right now at center. Ahead with Ed Ward across the line. Ward will go wide on the right side and dump it all the way across. Walker gets it in the corner, flips it back in down low. Garvey sealed off Ed Ward over to the corner. Savaglia trying to turn away from the check there as he's pinned to the wall by Robin Bawa. Bobby J keeps it in at the point behind the net now for Savaglia. Bawa with the quick pressure on him. Over to squirt free and work it right in front with Ward, but Walker unable to pull the trigger. To the line, McLaughlin will get to the right point and keep it in. Ahead for Savaglia, back to Bobby J. First shot of the game on net, sticked away. And a penalty coming up to Fort Wayne. As Mike Torchia made the first save of the hockey game, but now he'll be forced to look at the first power play of the hockey game. A high sticking penalty that goes against Lee Davidson.
Good forechecking pressure by the Vipers. What we talked about in the opening, big defensive team, rather slow. Caused a lot of problems on the forecheck, cycling the puck down low.
Davidson, the club's leading scorer coming into tonight with only 15 penalty minutes and 29 points, picks up numbers 16 and 17. And the Fort Wayne penalty kill, which has struggled particularly on the road, has to come out just a minute 52 into it.
That's one thing under Torchetti that's really picked up has been the penalty kill, but that's been at home. They've killed up 24 of the last 25 efforts. Have not been very effective on the road, as we've talked about.
Viper power play ranking in the top 3rd in the IHL. Sets up as Simon off the draw, gets it to the line. Long wrist shot from Donnelly, scores! The traffic in front, and I don't think Torchia ever saw it, creates that one. It took the Vipers 8 seconds on the power play.
We know Mike Donnelly can fire the puck. That one was just had eyes. He just put it on the net. As you said, traffic in front. But good penalty killing usually starts with good goaltending. You want your goaltender to get a piece of that kind of a shot from the blue line.
Donnelly was credited with a goal Friday night at Kansas City that he admitted he did not score. Will get this one, and he does score this one.
Good call by you, John. Good screen set in front. Got the defenseman moving over. Torquia chose to look to the right of the screen. The shot came to the left of it. He was beaten.
His second as a Viper comes from Savaglia and Simon, and those two have been on a tear recently for Detroit. 1-0 Vipers. Oleg Mikulchik trying to clear out of his own zone and gets a favorable bounce and does. Wristed all the way back in by Stefan Brochu. One of the 3 fresh faces in the Detroit lineup tonight. Appearing in his first game as a Viper, just up from Flint of the Colonial League. At center, Brian Farrell brings it into the Detroit zone, but kicked it offside as Andy Bizzo was unable to regroup and get back into the zone. Donnelly has admitted to me that he thought he put too much pressure on himself early on when he came here. He said he knows Rick Dudley and Steve Ludzik brought him here to score goals. Until tonight, he only had 1 as a Viper, and this is his 9th game in the Eggplant and Aqua.
We've seen him come to life. His first 4 games, he was a little bit tentative. He may have, as you said, put too much pressure on himself. He had a dominating performance. Now he seems to be getting more in the rhythm, settling into the mix.
Thanks for joining us tonight on the Viper Hockey Network. This is the television side, the radio side all season long, 11:30 a.m. WDFN. And greetings to those joining us on the television side on TSN in Canada. Icing call coming up on the Komets as Brad Shaw touches up for Detroit. Shaw has made his mark since having immigration problems early on and then a knee injury. He has missed 15 games this season, but is +10 in the 16 he has played. And Darren, quick math tells me that's +50 if he gets into 80 games over the course of the season.
Well, I know that you spent all afternoon figuring that out, so it wasn't that quick, but it was accurate. And Bradshaw means that much both defensively and, as a graphic illustrated, gets it done offensively as well.
And I know you like to talk about plus-minus numbers as, well, they may sound impressive, but how do they compare on your team? Coming into tonight, the Viper plus-minus leader, departed rookie Sergei Samsonov at +13. He had appeared in all 31 games coming into tonight. In half those games, Shaw right on his tail. Play in the Detroit zone. Broughton digging along the back wall, frees it up for Duncanson. Craig Duncanson trying to find somebody in front. Everybody's behind the goal line. Did get it to Broughton, and he scored. And that's why Paul Broughton leads his team in goals and has been as consistent as he has. First shot of the hockey game for Fort Wayne finds the twine.
Give Craig Duncanson a lot of credit. Brad Shaw caught in between a 2-on-1 down low. Broughton coming off the half wall had all kinds of time. There was a miscommunication with the forward.
Patrice Tardif was also caught below the goal line. The Vipers had 2 defenders below the goal line. That usually spells trouble. Fort Wayne had 3 attackers below the goal line, and I think that's what began the confusion for Detroit in their defensive zone.
A reverse 3-on-2, if you will, starting from behind the goal line.
Creates the opening, and it creates the 11th of the year for Broughton. The Komets have been known to be in some high-flying affairs. Earlier this season, they were in a game in which 15 goals were scored in all. That is the high in the IHL this season, and we have early offense tonight here at the Palace. A delayed offside call brings a scuffle in front of the Detroit bench. In the middle of it, Kevin McDonald, one of the perennial penalty minute leaders in the IHL. Robin Baugh was there as well. We're even early on at the Palace.
I thought you might be hungry. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Dave. Happy holidays to you, too.
If you're working hard this holiday, you deserve a big, hearty meal, like Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger Combo.
Thanks, Dave.
3 strips of hickory smoked bacon, processed smoked cheddar on a 1/4 pound of fresh ground beef with sauteed onions, made when you order it. Plus biggie fries and a drink. Come in for a Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger Combo today.
Happy holidays, Dave.
What a nice way to say happy holidays.
You know what to do. Wild party last night, huh? So what happened to you? Last I heard, you were headed for some body-piercing place. Man, that stuff's too weird for me. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't do anything too stupid. Hey, you're the man, cool guy. See you at the beach.
But no stranger to fisticuffs. McDonald always making his presence known physically. But you have to wonder, to what end does that serve for Fort Wayne? They have 3 guys in the top 5 in penalty minutes in the IHL, Bezo, Gannon, and McDonald. But as we talked about, they're not very good on the penalty kill, and these guys alone don't add very much to the offensive mix. So John Torchetti has to wonder, do I temper that, or do I go along with that physical nature and that physical style?
Well, Fort Wayne's only been called upon to kill penalties for 8 seconds tonight.
Not the way he would like that to be evened up.
Problem was, it was evened up on the Detroit goal. Tied at 1, we're 4 minutes into it at the Palace of Auburn Hills, and glad to have you with us on this Tuesday evening. Robin Bawa up the left side into the Detroit zone, watched by Bobby J, takes it in behind the net. Centers, nobody there, picked off by Savaglia, who leads the rush the other way with Ed Ward. Ward rims it around the boards. This will go far side. Savaglia after it, just keeps it deep for Ward in the corner. Bumped there by Liam Garvey, who takes it away. And circling back behind his net and now finding pressure is McDonald. Davidson was back there as well, but he pitches it away. Garvey moves it ahead. At center across the Detroit line. Comes near side, long drive went just wide of the mark from John LeBlanc and clears the zone all the way to center. Sean Gagnon flips it back into the Detroit zone up right wing. After it, firing it in front at that time was Ambrosiak, and that one just bounced over the stick of its intended receiver. Gagnon again will rev it up and bring it up the right side. Stood up in the neutral zone as he was hit by another Viper newcomer. That's Andrei Bashkirov, and he'll bring it back into the zone. Bashkirov walks in. Shot saved by Torquia, and the carry him all the way to center. Here's Bezo in a hurry. Picked up and poked off his stick by Jeff Parrott, who came back. And up and down they go. Bashkirov dumps it back into the Fort Wayne zone and heads for a change to the Detroit bench. He, one of the new faces who joins the Vipers from Huntington of the East Coast Hockey League, and he had a good chance right there. Bouncing puck eludes Evans all the way into the right corner of the Fort Wayne zone, and Banks is on it there. Darren Banks leaves it down low, fired back in front by Corrival, but that hit a leg. Duncanson feeds it up the boards, but loses it. Banks fires it across, and Torquia broke that up as he got his stick on it. Corrival, as usual, hard to the boards with Broughton. Puck played away to center, and the Komets will get a change as Evans dumps it in. Long outlet at center for Banks from Shaw. He's able to chop it into the Fort Wayne zone. That'll enable the Vipers to get a change. LeBlanc loses it off his stick. And Bobby J able to lead the rush the other way. Simon didn't see the little feather pass from Ward. Otherwise, he could have gotten to the opening and gotten to that. Instead, the play at center. Gloved and flipped down by Robin Bawa, who carries into the Detroit zone, only to have it swept away by Savaglia. Loose puck in the Fort Wayne zone, fired up the high glass, the length of the ice from Sean Gagnon. And Bobby J back to touch up. It's an icing call.
And congratulations to...
Well, whether it's Bashkirov or Steve Walker or whomever it is, the Vipers having to get new nameplates and new numerals out for their jerseys tonight. There have been numerous roster moves for this club of late, most of them coming here this week in lieu of all the injuries. See Samsonov gone, not really a roster move. He won't be back until early January, but Walker, Brochu, and Bashkirov all activated today, and Phil Von Stefanelli expected to be active for Friday's game here at the Palace as the Vipers will play host to Kansas City.
Bashkirov had a good opportunity on a 2-on-1, took it to the goal, was thwarted by Torquia.
Took it to the goal and took the shot. Vipers have had 4 of those so far. Fort Wayne has had 2. We're tied at 1. Puck along the boards far side. Michel Mongeau digs it free for Patrice Tardif. Trying to work hard and get it back was Donnelly, but he couldn't fight through the bodies. Now it's Oleg Mikulchik who flips it back through center ice. That is a mouthful. And offside are the Komets, as if Bashkirov is not enough. A penalty coming up to Detroit as Bezo was tripped over the line and into the Detroit zone. So the Komets with the extra man, tied at 1 when we return.
You can tell which house has the Vicks NyQuil and which doesn't. Bob and Fred both came home coughing, sneezing, stuffy, aching all over. Bob's house had a cold medicine which only relieves his stuffiness and aching, while Fred's home had Vicks NyQuil. It does the work of an antihistamine, decongestant, pain reliever, and cough medicine. So unlike Bob, Fred gets more complete relief, so he gets the rest he needs. That's the restful plus of Vicks NyQuil. It's the cold relief you want to come home to. Vicks NyQuil.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for someone special?
It's Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger Combo, a quarter-pound of fresh ground beef, processed smoked cheddar, bacon, and sautéed onions.
You know, nothing says happy holidays like a big cheeseburger.
Slalom, Super G, downhill, giant slalom. TSN's got it all. The world's best are set to fly Saturday. See men's downhill action from Italy here on TSN. Before the puck is dropped. Saturday nights are spent here. SO NHL Saturday night. This weekend, TSN.
Viper penalty going against Michel Mongeau, and a break for Detroit. As the holding penalty begins, an icing call on Fort Wayne. Robert Dirk touches up. Mongeau was questionable for tonight's game. He had been rather sick at this morning's skate, thought he might have had a touch of food poisoning, and told me before today's game as he showed up that he felt a lot better. And obviously in the fix that Steve Ludzik is in, I'm sure he said to Monge before the game, if you can go, I need you. And the veteran responding by donning the gear and being in the lineup. Viper penalty kill has moved up a great deal of late in the league, and it has also produced 2 shorthanded goals in their last 3 games, both off the stick of Todd Simon.
In that last 10 games, almost at 90%, allowing them to move up in the rankings overall.
Brad Shaw deflecting the pass through center into the crowd. Todd Simon, interestingly enough, wearing the captain's C tonight in place of Stan Drulia, as opposed to maybe moving an A off of jersey, putting a C on it, and then putting an A on another jersey. I think this was the prudent sewing move, if nothing else, for equipment manager Rich Matthews. And Simon, a veritable youngster on this Viper Hockey Club, getting the captaincy, at least for a game.
A stitch in time, is that what you're going to say on that, Corey?
A 5-year veteran, but I tell you what, he sits near the front of the bus and in the front of the plane, because he's got a lot of tenure ahead of him. Puck driven around the boards into the Detroit zone. Fort Wayne's first power play of the night. Shaw, as it comes back around, got a piece of it, and Dirk able to clear. Speaking of veterans, Robert Dirk, along with Shaw, the defensive pairing for the Detroit penalty kill. It's Savaglia and Walker right now up front, and they're giving Fort Wayne problems. Sean Evans able to headman it at center for John LeBlanc. He finally dumps it in. Off the back wall, handled by Perrant to the corner. Dirk rims it around, and that's kicked back into the zone at the line. Loose high in the zone, and Walker will just play it off the boards back to the Fort Wayne zone, and Evans tripping over an ice gopher will go to the bench for a change.
He did. He lost a wheel there. Having all kinds of trouble with nobody around him.
40 seconds to go in the power play for the Komets. McCoolchick brings it to the Detroit line, deflected in off the stick of Garvey. Sent back to the corner. Bobby J takes his time and sends it the length of the ice. The former Comet, Bobby J, remember their last Turner Cup championship team. The 92-93 version of the Komets. Back to center, one last rush for the Comet power play. Murphy cutting in off right wing, and it knocked off his stick, driven around the boards. This will come out as Detroit's Jeff Parrott clears, and that'll pretty much do it for the penalty to Mongeau. Garvey hustling back to get it, but the final seconds wind down. He steps out of the box, and both teams are full strength. McCoolchick with a long drive in off the blocker of Perrant. Around the boards near side as Fort Wayne finishes a change. Shaw gets it across the line to Mongeau. Jumps to the hole, backhander, score! Boy, Torquia fought that one all the way until it was back in front of him off the back of the net. And I think from the look on your face, you're not sure how that one got by him.
Well, Mike Mongeau showing what a veteran will do, getting himself in the play as soon as possible, reading the play. Dave Keon couldn't have done it better. Backhand on the short side. Beautiful shot. It's the kind that you want your goaltender to make, but what a terrific shot. Short side up over the catching arm.
So the Vipers have the lead back at 2-1. And Shaw collects it and takes it behind the Detroit net off the faceoff. For Mongeau, his 12th of the year, he now 3 games the club lead in goals. He had it earlier this season, then went through a span of 8 games in which he scored only 1. Ward hustles to the right wing corner in after it. Gagnon plays it around and away as it's in the Fort Wayne zone. Harkins kicks at it, comes to the point, fired on net by Brochu and covered up by Torchia. It'll be Detroit Newspapers Family Night coming up this Friday at the Palace when the Vipers host Kansas City, and it's a great deal for just $45. You get 4 tickets, 4 soft drinks, 4 hot dogs, a corn, and your choice of 2 Viper t-shirts or hats. Call the Palace box office for more information. The number 810-377-0100. A one-time Fort Wayne Komet, Stefan Brochu, filling a gap on defense for the Vipers tonight. Just made the 40-mile drive down I-75 from the Colonial League to the IHL. Stepping right in. The Vipers have gone their last 2 games with only 5 dressed defensemen. One of those being rookie Peter McLaughlin. Here's a giveaway at the blue line. Cutting in hard, Robin Bawa stuffs it through. Rich Perrant, we're tied again.
Well, the forwards are doing a good job of getting a half step or a step on the defenseman, but the goaltenders are having a hard time finding the handle on the puck here. Neither able to get a real good clean touch.
Bawa will get the unassisted marker at 10-14, and he did all the work indeed.
Donnelly came back on the backcheck late, but Detroit uncharacteristically turned that puck over dangerously at their blue line. Led to the turnover. Bawa went in relatively unmolested until Donnelly got there too late.
So 2 Viper 1-goal leads evaporate quickly, and now Simon dumps it in offside. Tardif had thought he was going to dump it earlier, and he was a good 20 feet into the zone. Just past the halfway mark of the opening period. We only have a combined 10 shots on goal in the hockey game, but we got 4 goals already.
Well, Rich Perrant played so well this season. He's had a little more trouble at home, unfortunately, than he has on the road, and we'll speak to that in a little bit.
Perrant behind his net plays it away from the forecheck as Murphy is in, and he knocks it down in the corner. Bobby Jay's on his hip. Puck below the goal line, stuck on the back of the net. Murphy and Jay still battling. Murphy wins that, got it in front, but McLaughlin cut back. Now retreats behind his net and rims it around the boards. Broughton able to knock it down. It was kept in, now breaking away at center. Cordovo just couldn't quite get the handle as Gagnon brings him all the way to the near wall. Tardif digs along the boards at it, and now they'll freeze it for a face-off. 8:57 to go in the first, tied at 2.
You can tell which house has the Vicks NyQuil and which doesn't. Bob and Fred both came home coughing, sneezing, stuffy, aching all over. Bob's house had a cold medicine which only relieves his stuffiness and aching, while Fred's home had Vicks NyQuil. It does the work of an antihistamine, decongestant, pain reliever, and cough medicine. So unlike Bob, Fred gets more complete relief. So he gets the rest he needs. That's the restful plus of Vicks NyQuil. It's the cold relief you want to come home to. Vicks NyQuil.
One name stands for the promise of perfect pastry every time. That name is Tenderflake. Trusted, experienced Tenderflake. Nothing makes it flakier.
Young Rich Perrant has been very good overall this season, but somewhat alarmingly to Coach Lutzig, much better on the road, which isn't the problem. It's why the differential at home. And you can see here tonight, just doesn't seem to be quite as comfortable, and especially in staking his team to an early lead. They've been able to fall behind and not hold these early leads, causing problems. Tough to win at home when you do that.
Yeah, the major difference is in the save percentage that you notice, more so than the goals against it, is sparkling either way. Banks and Bezo talking it over, rim of the circle. The 2 respective penalty minute leaders for their clubs. Bezo not leading Fort Wayne right now, but would were it not for an early season injury that has cost him about 15 games. Led the IHL last year, and he has drawn his second penalty of the game as Banks is going to go off here. And that is one thing. You got a man with 590 penalty minutes as Perrant touches up, who led the IHL a year ago in Andy Bezo. And you may think, well, he's a detriment. You talked about some of the penalty minute leaders on this team for Fort Wayne and whether it's smart to play the aggressive style they do. I think when you're talking about Andy Bezo, it is, because you and I saw it last year. He may have nearly 600 penalty minutes, but he draws a lot of penalties as well.
That number, you're hearing it correctly, almost 600 minutes in penalties last year for Andy Bezo. But Fort Wayne was 8-1 against Detroit last season, in large part due to the fact that Bezo seemed to be able to get under the skin of these Vipers. In this shift, it happened to be Darren Banks. Throws Detroit off their game. Bezo doesn't score a lot, but he is a factor and has been a real factor against Detroit.
So Steve Ludzik will watch his club go shorthanded for the second time tonight. The Vipers would like to thank Visual Designs for their support of tonight's game. The Visual Designs provided tonight's opening animation. For all your animation needs and graphics expertise, call them at 800-842-6604. 8:33 to go on the first, tied at 2. Penalty to Banks. Putting the Vipers down a man, and now Mongeau chased from the circle. Shaw, Dirk, and Tardif round out the Viper penalty kill. And Evans at the line had his shot deflected right on by Davidson. Still loose as he got another whack at it. Bawa goes to the front of the net. Guy Dupuis bumped hard on the far wall, able to keep it inside of the net. Shaw knocks it away, comes right back to him. He turns to the corner, uses the boards, but fails to clear as Dupuis stepped up. They jam at it along the far side. To the line, Davidson moves it across. The open man is Evans. Evans back to the middle. Davidson's drive, that went wide, near side and covered by Perrant as he sprawls back to smother the puck. Half a minute gone, and the penalty to Darren Banks. And the face-off will stay deep in the Detroit zone.
Thus far, the game to Fort Wayne's liking, a little bit ragged. Detroit seems a little thrown off by the early goals given up by Perrant. He just needs to steady himself and get in that rhythm as he did in Kansas City. 33 save performance matching his season high, and that's the difference on the road. He's been able to really protect leads, close games, whereas at home he seems to give up goals early. Detroit not able to get into their good forechecking rhythm because they're playing from behind.
Now the high-flying style has to favor Fort Wayne tonight, as well as when you consider the Viper D has been a little bit short-handed of late. As I mentioned, last 2 outings, both on the road, they went with 5 dress D, and down the stretch, really played only 4 as McLaughlin was spotted. Tonight they have 6, and one of them being McLaughlin, the other being Brochu, who's never played a game with this club. So fatigue could be a factor as Detroit plays their 3rd in 5 days with a pretty short-handed blue line core. Good puck movement from Fort Wayne as Dupuis gets it top of the near circle now for Evans. Spins it down low. LeBlanc comes over. Bawa jams it through. Davidson sent it back in front, and Jeff Parrott got there to knock it away. Bobby J sets it up the wall and out.
You make an excellent point, John, about the decimated defensive core of Detroit. Steve Ludzik was talking to you earlier before the game about this being a television game, being able to use some of the timeouts to rest his players.
First time I've ever had a hockey coach tell me that he was going to work the clock. Sometimes you see it done in the 3rd period when maybe a team has a lead, particularly on the road, but when it's part of your game plan before he even step out onto the ice.
Well, it allows him to shorten his bench and go with his key guys more with the extra timeout.
Liam Garvey moves it to the near corner into the Detroit zone. Final seconds of the Fort Wayne power play as it ends up behind the net. Broughton leaves it there for Duncanson. All the way out to the right point. Garvey, final seconds, sends it down low. Again, Duncanson centering pass broken up. Out of the box is Banks, and will be carried to center ice. And in now by Tardif. Patrice Tardif, right side. Bumped by Mikulchik, and then bumped again as he keeps it alive along the wall. Right point, Bobby J leans into one. Stick save rebound right there for Banks, and that chopped away as Garvey just got a piece of his stick. Broughton and Banks collide below the goal line. The Komets try to clear, and they do. Bobby J knocked it down but couldn't keep it in. McLaughlin hammers it back in as the Vipers touch up. Behind the net, Torquia stick handles and throws it to the line. Bobby J knocked it down, drove it over top of the net. Puck cleared up the firewall. This will be an icing call in Fort Wayne as Bobby J is back to touch up. Boy, Mike Torquia that time nearly cost himself. He didn't really go up the middle with it, but he went right to Bobby J. And one of only 3 Vipers to see action this season in now all 32 of their games. He made a bid for his 2nd goal of the year.
Not sure what Torquia's plan was there. First he serves up a rebound in the slot, everything on a silver platter. Then he shoots it back to Bobby J. Bobby rips it. Torquia scrambling to get back into his cage. Lucky for him, that shot sailed high at the crossbar.
Bobby would have gotten that shot off quicker had he gotten the puck to settle down. You could see it was on edge, and he finally said, enough's enough. I'm just going to take this shot and see where it goes. He would have liked that puck to lay down for him, and perhaps he could have kept it lower because Torquia was still scrambling, as you said, just to get back into his net. It was almost an early Christmas for the Burlington, Massachusetts native. Vipers win the draw, and Brochu at the point does a nice job to keep it in. Gagnon behind the net. Bump there as Donnelly came in after it. Far side, Mongeau and Donnelly now battle for it, and Donnelly dug it out. Got it to the line for Parrott. Wrist shot, juggled, and mishandled by Torquia, who comes out to send it around the glass and out himself. Donnelly gets to it back in the Detroit zone. Around near side, Bashkirov rolls it to the Fort Wayne line. Mongeau in on the one-man forecheck. Vipers finish a change, just barely. And now a penalty coming up to Fort Wayne. Parrott brings it into the Fort Wayne zone to Mongeau between the circles. Oh, tried to set up Donnelly, and that was just poked away by McCoolchick. Vipers on the power play when we come back, all even at 2.
Hey, Annie.
Hi.
Love the hat.
What need it? My hair's a disaster. Look at my dandruff.
That's easy to take care of with the right shampoo. Here.
With ordinary shampoo, flakes can come back, but Head & Shoulders helps eliminate dandruff and stop flakes before they even start, so you may never see flakes again. And your hair.
My hair looks great. Thanks.
Don't forget your hat.
Who needs it?
Head & Shoulders, because great hair can't have flakes.
No, there's nobody here by that name. A breakfast special? What the? Speak to my who?
Mrs. Rams? Is your husband there? Could he talk to me?
Talked about Andy Bizzo. So we get beeline to the bench. Ike Corvo coming off the Viper bench. A very dirty play, knee on knee. That much more dangerous since Ike Corvo missed so many games this year with that lower stomach abdominal muscle. Put himself in a very, very tenuous situation there.
Kneeing is the call. And Detroit with their second power play tied at 2. It took only 8 seconds to score on their only shot of their previous power play opportunity. Shaw, Savaglia, Donnelly, Corvo, and Simon for the Detroit power play. Corvo nearly fed Donnelly alone at the far post. Komets able to collect it and rip it the length of the ice, courtesy of Liam Garvey. Brad Shaw back to get it from behind the Detroit net. The player assistant coach stick handles to center, gets the red line, and hammers it in. Simon far side keeps it alive for Corvo. McCoolchick comes over. Simon with puck support to the line for Shaw. He won't get there though, and the Vipers forced to touch up. This pass errant comes back into the zone, and the Vipers now just get a change while they're at it because McCoolchick easily ices it. Bobby J comes on for him. Ward also joins the Detroit extra man unit. Stick handling into the zone as Donnelly leaves it for Simon at the left point. Saucer pass bounces over Bobby J's stick, but he gets to the point in time to keep it in. Ward sends it down low. Savaglia trying to give it back to him. Dug out by Mongeau, all the way back top of the circle. Donnelly with a wrister that went over top of the net. Bobby J pitches off the right point, 25 seconds to go in the power play, and a quick whistle as they freeze the puck along the wall, and the linesman forced to intervene as everyone steps in to join the fray. Tomorrow, the New York Knicks will be at the Palace to take on the Detroit Pistons, and the first 5,000 fans receive a Skybox card. Excuse me, a Skybox card pack, compliments to the Skybox company.
A lot of anticipation with that game.
The return of Allen Houston to the Palace. It's the return of John Torchetti to the Palace. In November, he came here as an assistant coach with the San Antonio Dragons of the IHL. 2 years prior to that, he'd been the head coach of the Central League's San Antonio Iguanas. So while he didn't change cities, it was a change of scenery. And now a real change for him as he goes to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and tries to resurrect a team with a great history. 50 years of IHL history behind this Komet club. And they're not that far out of the playoff picture either, despite what was at one point a 13-game winless streak. They're only 5 points out of what would be the 8th and final playoff position in the Eastern Conference. And right now they are 3 seconds away from killing Detroit's second power play. Savaglia chips it back into the Fort Wayne zone as Bezo comes out of the box, and both teams now full strength. Savaglia works it along the back wall, near side for Tardif. Back to the line for Shaw. His one-timer didn't have much on it, went wide. Evans after it to the corner. Tardif digs it free. Davidson coming back, backhands it to the line, over Brochu, and back into the Detroit zone. Shaw backing with it, threw it to center. Broughton couldn't play it. He had a man caught in the zone. I think Detroit had too many men on the ice for a long, long time, and now it may have been whistled down. Broughton turned the puck over right in front of the Detroit bench as the Vipers were trying to make a defensive change. Fort Wayne had sent the puck in. The Vipers quickly sent it back out, and then when Broughton turned it over, they played it, and I think Detroit had too many men on the ice for a good 5-6 seconds. Now, you talked about my math skills earlier, but let's see if we can count to 5 and maybe more.
When the puck came over in front of the Viper bench, it did look like...
Here's where Broughton now says, I can't go in. There's Banks coming over the boards. So does Simon. Shaw was back in the defensive zone. There's another right there. 4, 5, 6, maybe more.
It looked like a train station at rush hour. Guys coming and going.
Well, Chinese fire drill or not, you only get 2 minutes. It doesn't matter whether you have 8 guys on or 6. You still only get 2 minutes.
That's correct.
And the bench minor whistled on Detroit at 17:37, and Darren Banks will serve it. Banks, who leads the Vipers in penalty minutes coming into tonight, has 129 now. No stranger to that position. Tied at 2. Just over 2 to go, first period. At the line, Komets keep it in. Duncanson sent it across. Dupuis rims it around. Now Evans sends it back down low for Broughton. He with one of the 2 Komet goals. Puck squirts free. Dupuis steps over, switching places with Evans. Now point coverage comes from Duncanson. Big trouble for Detroit. Tardif without a stick. Komets would be smart to try to work something this time. Dupuis from the line. Now Tardif gets another stick. Evans shovels it across. Murphy bangs away at the rebound. Still loose in front. Vipers stuff it underneath their netminder, and Perrant closes the legs.
Give Fort Wayne credit. They did recognize the weakness. Stick being out of play, they attacked that side of the ice.
Face-off will be to the left of Perrant. $1:35 to go in the opening period. 1:12 and the penalty to Darren Banks.
Rich Perrant held his ground in his customary V style, butterfly style, able to keep that puck out. A couple of the biggest saves of the first period for him.
8th save of the period for Rich Perrant. Coming up in our first intermission, we'll visit with that man, Darren Banks. Returning to the IHL after a couple of years off. Been an integral part of the Vipers this season. And the Vipers throw it into the crowd off the face-off. Steve Walker doing the duties that time. Face-off will stay in the Detroit zone. Walker began the season here in Detroit on a 25-game tryout, produced just a goal and 3 assists in 17 games, and has returned twice for spot duty due to injuries from the Flint Generals of the Colonial League.
Just hasn't been able to get on track this season after being a scorer in the Colonial League last year with 100 points.
Played with the Muskegon Fury last year in the Colonial League, but Flint is the affiliate for Detroit. And he now finds himself playing for the Generals. Winnie's in the Colonial League. Davidson down low for LeBlanc as Fort Wayne sets up on the power play. Inside a minute to go in the man advantage. Dupuis calling for it at the line, now sends it up the right wing half wall. Cutting off the other point was Evans. Puck came right to the slot and forced to make a point-blank save that time. Perron. Lucky for him, it fell right in front of him, and he was able to cover it with the trapper. Robin Bawa making a bid for his second tonight.
Excellent reaction save by Rich Perron. He was playing that pass to go all the way across the zone. It got stopped in the slot, and he reacted to it. See right there, Dirk makes the save. Perron was looking for the point man slipping down across the zone.
Bawa does the prudent thing. He gets the quick shot off, and that so often is the most important ingredient in scoring a goal. 42 seconds left in the penalty being served by Banks. And now just a minute to go in the period. Komets have been able to keep it in the Detroit zone. Garvey working the left point. Shovels it up the wall. Comes back to him on one hop. And again does a nice job to keep it in for Davidson. Davidson comes in. On left wing. Sharp angle shot. And Perron almost sneaking off his post. Had that one hit him. And a good effort by Donnelly. Diving to poke it free. Final 15 seconds of the power play. Davidson sends it across, and LeBlanc's shot deflected over top of the net by a sprawling Rich Perron. Back up the wall. Donnelly got to it, didn't get it out. Bounces off a glove. Now comes back to Bawa, just rifles it right on, and the save made by Perron as the penalty being served by Banks expires.
Great exhibition of why good penalty killing a lot of times starts with goaltending. Rich Perron, shaky the first 10 minutes, keeping this game at 2-2 in this last minute and a half of this period.
Fort Wayne with a 14-8 shot advantage through the first period that has just 23.7 seconds remaining.
That's a rarity in and of itself. Very seldom are the Vipers outshot at home.
In fact, Detroit gives up the fewest shots on goal per game in the IHL. At 26.4, they've already given up over half of that as they have now rung another one up for the Komets, make it 15 for the K's.
And again, we talked about it in the opening patchwork lineup here for Steve Ludzik tonight. Some of these things that have occurred in the first period, not totally unexpected.
Off the draw, shot from the point, wide off the stick of Sean Gagnon, and Tardif got it ahead for Ward. He failed to clear. Final 10 seconds of the period as the puck is kicked along the wall and finally collected over to the near side by Tardif, bothered by Bezo, ever present, ever hard working, and finally Detroit able to clear. And that'll do it for the first period of play. Steve Ludzik knew it was going to be a battle tonight, and that's what he has on his hands after 20 minutes of play. Shaky starts for both Mike Torchia and Rich Perron, but they settle down the stretch. And we're all even after 20 minutes of play at the Palace of Auburn Hills. The Komets with just 9 wins this season, last overall in the Eastern Conference, giving the second-ranked team in the IHL all they want so far. Tied at 2. And we'll be back with more from the Palace after this.
This sports break is brought to you by Money Mart. Real people, fast cash. With over 140 locations nationwide.
Hi, folks. Pleasure to welcome you to our control center. I'm Michael Landsberg. Join us for the next edition of TSN Sports Desk when we will have all the highlights for you. That means tons of big games in the NHL and the NBA right now. Let's take a peek at the Hartford Whalers as they face the St. Louis Blues. And this is Mike Keenan trying to bounce back from an 8-0 shellacking at the hands of the Canucks. Out of the gate early on, Turgeon intercepts the pass. His shot is stopped. The rebound is backhanded in by Joe Murphy. 1-0 after 1 period of play, and that's the way it stands now in the second period. On the show, we'll have highlights of the Bulls and Lakers. That's, of course, Shaq against Jordan. Plus, in the NHL, we'll have the Avalanche against the Detroit Red Wings. Great rematch from last year and potential preview of the Western Conference Final. That's in the next edition of Sports Desk.
I am not a number.
I will not take a number.
Enough people tell me what to do already.
Machines, no machines.
I want to talk to a real person.
No attitude, thanks. People you can actually relate to.
It's not your time, it's my time.
Nighttime. Daytime.
Anytime.
The world does not stop at 5 o'clock.
Anything's fast.
Faster.
Fastest.
I've got things to do. I hate lineups.
No, I just want to cash a check.
Wire some money home.
Pay some bills. Real people.
No attitude at all.
A 2-2 tie after 20 minutes of play at the Palace of Auburn Hills. The Detroit Vipers and Fort Wayne Komets deadlocked with 2 to go, maybe more. John Allers alongside Darren Elliott back with you at the Palace. A rarity in the opening period as the Vipers are outshot by Fort Wayne 15-8. And the Komets, I think, have to be happy, John Torchetti especially, coming into this building and getting the job done in the first 20 minutes.
As we talked about coming out of that first period, not totally unexpected by Coach Steve Ludzik. I think Coach Torchetti not convinced that his goaltender, Torquia, has settled down enough. We'll see.
Well, the Vipers getting some looks at some players. We saw Stefan Brochu on defense getting a chance to go as well. We saw Bashkirov, also a youngster up from the East Coast League, getting some time. Be interesting to see how much Ludzik uses them as we go along. But right now we're going to go downstairs to the veritable veteran who's been with the Vipers all season long. Darren Banks joins us. And Darren returns to the IHL after a couple of years off. Darren, a lot of people thought when they saw your name on the training camp roster for the Vipers that this guy's a training camp invitee, but you've invited yourself for the whole season. Has to make you feel good that you kind of put the doubters behind you.
Oh yeah, it's great to be back in the I again, and this is a real good team. I'm close to home, and I just love playing here. I'm so happy to get an opportunity to play back here again and just make the best of it.
Well, you are a big part of that forechecking style of the Vipers. Is that what you wanted to do here tonight against Fort Wayne, is establish a forecheck?
Yeah, our biggest thing is get the puck in deep, and then the two wingers just go, everything they got go out after the puck, and that's our game, is a forecheck, and once we get the puck to cycle it down low, and it seems to be the keys to our success.
Darren, you look in the book and it says place of birth Toronto. I know you call Windsor home. You have family in the Detroit area. You played here the last 3 years. Where is home?
Home's usually wherever I'm living at the time or playing at the time, but my hometown is Windsor. That's where my folks live, and I try to get back here usually a week or two in the summer, but this summer I'll be around all summer, and I guess this is home right now.
Home is where the heart is. Tonight the heart might be contending with a guy like Andy Bizzo. He's always out there trying to mix it up, and you really are the enforcer for the Vipers. How difficult is that, knowing someone like that is on the opposition coming into a game like this?
For me, it's fun. I mean, I have a lot of fun doing that. I don't mind doing it. A guy like him, though, you don't know what to expect from him. So, more likely he's not going to fight you, but he agitates a lot. So it's better for me to agitate first and then let him react from that.
Did Steve Ludzik talk to you at all about Bizzo and his style? Because a couple of years back in the Colonial League, when Ludzik was coaching in Muskegon, he had Bizzo on his roster.
Oh yeah, he told us about Bizzo. His big thing was that he likes to agitate. He doesn't really do much after that. So for us to agitate first and let him react to that, and that's what more or less I'm trying to do to him now, is just get on him as much as I can and make him react and maybe hopefully take a penalty.
What can we look for in the next 40 minutes?
I think you're going to see a little different Viper team than you see in the first period there. We're going to get the puck in deep, and we'll probably have a lot more shots next period, and hopefully back to our style of playing.
You talked about the importance of the forecheck and getting the puck in deep. Obviously, your job is to go in and bang a little bit, and expectations for Darren Banks are not counted in goals and assists, but you had a nice start to this season. 4 goals and 5 assists so far. Do you have the same feeling, I think, as maybe the coaching staff does about you? You go out there, you do your job. If you get goals, if you get points, that's gravy?
Oh, yeah. Their biggest thing is, I'm not worried about the points from me. They just want me to work hard and hopefully keep the puck down there, and other guys will score. It's great when I was scoring. At the beginning of the year, I thought I was Gretzky. I was leading our goal scorers. I was ahead of them in points. But now it's back to reality, and I'm just out there. If I can chip in, I chip them in. But if not, I'm just happy to be out there and hopefully do something good for our team.
Now, Darren, I know the life of a hockey player is a difficult one. You mentioned the family that you have in the area, but you also told me the other day that it was the first time in a few years you got a chance to see Grandma the other day. She reminded you, didn't she?
Oh, yeah. She reminded me right away that she hadn't seen me in a while, and that I better get over there soon and come and see her. She's getting up there in age, and my biggest thing is I got to visit the family when I get a chance now.
Now, the good family man that you are, we know you will do that. Darren, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here in our first intermission. Wish you continued success.
Thank you very much, guys.
Darren Banks joining us here in our first intermission, and for doing so, he'll receive a gift certificate from the Men's Warehouse, where you can save 20 to 30% every day. To speak to someone in the store nearest you, call 1-800-776-SUIT. The Vipers and Komets tied at 2 after 1 at the Palace. Back to visit with the IHL Commissioner Bob Ufer after this.
Hi.
Love the hat.
Oh, I need it. My hair's a disaster. Look at my dandruff.
That's easy to take care of with the right shampoo. Here.
With ordinary shampoo, flakes can come back, but Head & Shoulders helps eliminate dandruff and stop flakes before they even start, so you may never see flakes again. And your hair.
My hair looks great. Thanks.
Don't forget your hat.
Who needs it?
Head & Shoulders, because great hair can't have flakes.
Critics agree about Jerry Maguire.
What does your heart tell you?
It's one terrific movie.
Woo!
It might be Tom Cruise's best performance ever.
Just flip out!
Easily one of the best movies of the year.
You come after me, and you will lose.
Hilarious and heartfelt.
I love him.
Jerry Maguire is a winner.
And I dig that about you.
Tom Cruise, Jerry Maguire. Now playing in theaters everywhere.
I've had a computer for a couple years now, but to be honest, I didn't see what all the fuss was about. Then I got AOL Canada. Now I use it all the time. It makes my life easier. Watch. Use email to send messages to family and friends. Point and click your way around the internet with AOL Canada's great new web browser. And there's more. Scan hundreds of magazines, get sports scores, enjoy hobbies, even shop online. So call this toll-free number and get everything you need to make your life easier and more fun.
Komets knotted at 2 after 1 period of play. My pleasure now to be joined by the Commissioner of the International Hockey League, Mr. Bob Ufer. As many know, and maybe some don't, the IHL office is here in Detroit, so we get an opportunity to visit with him quite a bit. But as we're joined by our friends on TSN this evening, Bob, I want to immediately go to the new Canadian franchises. Of course, when the NHL left a couple of cities, it was seen as doomsday north of the border, but the IHL has seen it to be a boom.
Oh, you know, it's been a tremendous reception in Quebec. They had the year off. They are leading our league in attendance. They're just doing a great job. And Winnipeg also is just, I think they're actually 1-3 in league attendance right now.
Also, an expansion franchise joins the league this year. That's in Grand Rapids. And you don't see this every day, but the All-Star Game goes right to the newest franchise in the league, and they've earned it.
Well, they certainly have. It's just been a storybook tale for our league. They've got just a classic arena. It's a showcase, and when you have that kind of reception from the city and from the founding fathers like the Van Andales and the DeVosses, you gotta reward it. And so we brought the All-Star Game there.
Yeah, the Van Andel Arena has been sold out, I believe, for all but one of the Grand Rapids home games thus far this season, and it will be the host of the 1997 IHL All-Star Game. February the 18th is the date, and an interesting twist this year: the fans are allowed to vote for the starters, and how's that going so far?
We set up a program. It's very, very well received. The Days Inn actually is a major sponsor of that, and we're voting. We're going to fill the All-Star teams, half of the rosters from both sides. We're letting the fans vote, and so it looks like it's off to a great start, and it'll be conducted over the next 6 weeks in all of the different arenas, and we hope you get out there and vote.
As I mentioned earlier, we're joined by the fans on TSN tonight. A 12-game schedule, including last week's game here in Detroit and this one here tonight, including the All-Star Game, will be seen in Canada as well. That has to be a big boost for the league.
Oh, it is. You know, it perfectly complements the new cities we brought into Canada. We're looking right now. We have a pending application for the Toronto area, and we've also got 2 new cities that we have people at right now as we speak that are looking at in Western Canada. And so we're looking at the formation of a Canadian conference, and to have TSN as a partner up there is just going to be tremendous.
Expansion has been a buzzword in the IHL over the course of the last few years. An announcement made last month that you have an ownership group pending a building arrangement and agreement in New Orleans that will begin not next season but the following season. Looking forward to going down into the bayou.
Oh yeah, Yeah, the one development that they've had to delay the start of construction of the arena. Everything's in place, it's all set to go, but you know the Super Bowl is down in the Superdome, and this is an arena that is going to be just right next to the Superdome, so they can't get started with the construction. It looks like we're going to have to back that off to the 1999-2000 season in the interest of the Super Bowl this year.
As you look ahead for the IHL, maybe expansion put to the side, are one or two subjects, one or two issues that this league really needs to address? I know the collective bargaining agreement over the last couple of years has been an issue. That's been addressed. It's now put behind you. Are there one or two things that you as commissioner you're looking at to get done?
Well, the collective bargaining agreement really was a focal point because not only did it afford cost control, which allows us to continue our philosophy of family affordable entertainment, but it also brought us in partnership with the players. We're looking to create, and I think maybe that's one of the next areas I'm very interested in, John, is to create the partnership, the job training and career counseling, so as the players move out of playing hockey, they can move into the next career. And we also think they're the best agents to get out there in the marketplace and market these teams. We think they're a tremendous resource, and we want to develop how we can utilize that resource most effectively. And we're unique, I think, in professional sports with that.
Bob Buford, the commissioner of the IHL, joining us here in our first intermission. Bob, continued success. We appreciate you taking time. Happy holidays.
Thank you very much, John.
A 2-2 tie between the Fort Wayne Komets and Detroit Vipers after one at the Palace. We'll take a break and be back with more after this.
McCain changed potatoes into crispy bite-sized taters.
It's McCain tasty taters.
Bite-sized taters, crispy and golden brown on the outside. Crispy, so they lock in all that tender potato flavor you love.
You'll love the crispy flavor in a bite-sized tater.
McCain tasty taters in crispy bite-sized tater flavors. Cheese, regular, or Cajun.
You'll see the flavor in a bite-sized tater.
McCain tasty taters, crispy flavor in a bite-sized tater.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for someone special?
It's Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger Combo, a quarter-pound of fresh ground beef, processed smoked cheddar, bacon, and sautéed onions.
You know, nothing says happy holidays like a big cheeseburger.
World Junior Hockey Championship coverage begins December 27th, TSN. From backrooms to boardrooms, from pastime to prime time, Hooked on Pool takes you on a refreshing tour of the current game. It's an opportunity to explore modern trends and current fashions, and a chance to unearth some hot spots and meet the best in the game. Special guests and expert advice. It's all part of the package. Dufferin's Hooked on Pool. Don't miss it.
Hey, it's doubleheader night tonight. Yeah? Two games? Who's playing?
I don't know, but it ain't us. Doubleheader night. TSN. Monday.
A 2-2 tie between the Fort Wayne Komets and Detroit Vipers after 20 minutes of play at the Palace of Auburn Hills. It did not take long for the scoring to start, and it didn't take long for a power play to begin. At the 1:52 mark, Detroit went on the power play. 8 seconds later, they took the lead.
Goaltender Torquia unable to find this puck 55 feet away from him. Donnelly decides to put it at the net. He guessed wrong. He looked on the wrong side of the screen. Puck eludes him.
The assist to Simon and Savaglia, but Paul Broughton would answer back just a minute 22 later from Craig Duncanson.
Good work down low by Fort Wayne. Shaw was caught in between. Slow rotation by the forward. Broughton was able to walk off the wall, off the half wall, and beat Rich Perron on the short side.
Walking literally off the wall out of the box after serving a penalty was Michel Mongeau moments later at 9:22. He was the recipient of assists from Tardif and Shaw to give Detroit a 2-1 lead.
Well, John, when you made the original call on this goal, Mongeau coming out of the box, recognizing the situation that if he jumped into the play, he would create an outnumbered attack, and then one of the best backhands I've seen all season long.
Detroit's lead again, however, would not last long. In fact, it wouldn't last a minute. Robin Bawa answering back 52 seconds later unassisted, and we are all even at 2.
We said at the time, uncharacteristic of Detroit, turning the puck over in the danger zone at their own blue line. This is what led to the play. Confusion at the blue line. Ball was on the correct side of the pile. An effort by Donnelly. Ball able to outmuscle him and beat Rich Perron.
That entire play began, though, when one of the newcomers, Bashkarov, appeared to be confused as to where he needed to be. Puck actually hit his skate and created the turnover. The perhaps most alarming statistic you'll see here, the shots on goal favoring Fort Wayne 15-8 by nearly a 2-to-1 margin, and the quality chance is the same.
I look at those stats, and that is something we haven't seen with the Vipers all season. We look at the face-offs, we look at the power play shots on goal, dominated by Fort Wayne. I think what Darren Banks spoke to in the interview, we'll see a much different Viper team here in the second period.
A couple of footnotes on the assists of the goals for Steve Ludzik's club in that opening period. Todd Simon now with a 6-game scoring streak as he assisted on Donnelly's goal at the 2-minute mark. And Brad Shaw now with a 7-game assist streak as he had one of the two helpers on Mongeau's goal at 9:22. And that length of an assist streak now equals the longest in the IHL all season. As Shaw's is a 7-game current string. Earlier this year, Rob Brown of Chicago and Brian Felsner of Orlando each had 7-game schemes. And an icing call right off the faceoff on Fort Wayne as the second period is underway. Shaw has exactly 1 assist in 7 straight games, so he has 7 in those 7 games.
Not wasting the effort of
No, not at all. Simon also not only with a 6-game scoring streak, but a 6-game assist streak as well. That is the second current longest assist streak in the league. He has turned it up of late. The Vipers were a team that at one point was the #2 team in the IHL and had nobody in the top 20 in scoring. Simon entered tonight 14th in the league. Savaglia coming into tonight #9 in the IHL. Simon trying to knock down the clearing attempt as it came out of the Fort Wayne zone, and then Shaw inadvertently flops it into his bench. Talked about Simon heating it up lately. Of course, Pete Savaglia has done the same. And the Vipers, considered by many to have the best 3 centers in the IHL when you throw Michel Mongeau into that mix, have seen great play out of a couple of them of late.
Strength down the middle, and what it really speaks to is that balanced attack. Scoring across the board, all 3 lines capable, led by the centerman.
18 points between the two in the last 5 games. So that's the sort of production that you can learn to live with. Deflection as the puck comes through center ice, so the Vipers have to play it. No icing, and Shaw headmans it now for Simon. Hits the red line, got it into the Fort Wayne zone. Hard on the forecheck, as always, Ivan Korovo, but played away, and Broughton plays it off the skate of Simon. And then swept into the Detroit zone by Rob Murphy. A change for the Komets on the go as Perron stops it, and Shaw drives it wide of the mark, the length of the ice. Racing after it, Ed Ward, but it's touched up first by Liam Garvey, and icing is the call. And you may say to yourself, that looked like an odd play. That's a play that works well over 50% of the time for Brad Shaw. Realizing his team wants and needs a change, he'll drive the puck about 125 feet on net, and is usually very accurate with that. He just missed that time.
He hooked his drive into the rough, missed the cage. Face-off now in his own zone.
A log jam at the top of the Detroit goal chart coming into tonight has been alleviated by Michel Mongeau's goal earlier, but you look at that list and you see Dan Kessa and Sergei Samsonov, 2 of the 5 players who entered tonight with 11 goals. They are out of the lineup. Kessa due to injury, and Samsonov because he has been called by his country to participate in the World Juniors. The worst part of it for these many Vipers that are out of the lineup, Ian Herbers, Dan Kessa and all, I think a lot of it for them is the fact that they are not going to be seen back at home. A lot of the players telling me before the game, are you going to say hi to my folks? They get to see me play for one of the few times, and I know Dan Kessa particularly really disappointed to not be able to play, as his family all the way back in Vancouver would have had a chance to see him play tonight.
We're probably fielding requests. I know everybody was getting pumped up for the broadcast last week as well as this week, and all of the IHL games that will be carried on TSN.
Vipers responded with an 8-1 shellacking of Manitoba last week in this same situation. Hasn't been as easy tonight. Bashkarov fed it in front, and that deflected right on by Mongeau, as Torquia had to be quick to make that save. Well, you can see this Bashkarov knows how to score. Now he runs it down on the far side, heads right to the net, let it go, and that went just wide. Pitching is Brochu off the left point. Bouncing puck that Bashkarov nearly kept in. Vipers feed it back in, and McDonald knocks that down. For Gagnon. Turned over outside the line. Donnelly for Bashkarov. Back to Donnelly. Back for Bashkarov. Broken up. Mongeau rips it right on, and a save by Torquia.
That's some of the pressure we expected the Vipers to be able to get with the reconstituted lineup or not. This Fort Wayne team very suspect in their own zone, as witnessed right there. Torquia making 2 of his best saves of the night.
Boy, and Andrei Bashkarov around all the chances. The leading scorer for the Huntington Blizzard of the East Coast Hockey League, he was setting them up and taking them that time.
I don't know if Mongeau realized how much time he had on that little backhand play, and then Donnelly with a cute little play that got intercepted. Mongeau there to pick up the loose puck, fired at point-blank range on Torquia.
Steve Ludzik told me before tonight's game, with the short-handed bench he had, he was going to shake things up and look to spot lines. I think he may put Bashkarov, Mongeau, and Donnelly back out there together again.
As if Ludzik doesn't do that anyway, even with his regular lineup.
Puck bounces right to the slot, and spinning and firing it wide. That time's horrible. He just missed. Vipers all over the Fort Wayne zone right now. They're buzzing the net. Simon on a wraparound, and that went right through the crease. Komets would be prudent just to ice it. Broughton gets it out, and Shaw, hinging back, handles it. Steps to the red line and gulps it in. Around the dasher it comes. Broughton looks, gets the pressure from Simon. Hit from behind by Corvo. That's going to be a penalty on Detroit. I don't know if the Komets realize it yet. Now they do. They play it to the line, and as it's touched up, the penalty will be whistled. Early in the second, and the Komets to the power play when we come back in a tie hockey game.
You know, the road of life can be unpredictable. That's why I always travel with my own little safety device. Only your MasterCard now offers Master Road Assist. 24-hour roadside service anywhere in Canada and the U.S. So, whether you run out of gas or, heaven forbid, have a little roadside mechanical problem, no worries. With MasterCard's Master Road Assist, they're behind you all the way.
You can tell which house has the Vicks NyQuil and which doesn't. Bob and Fred both came home coughing, sneezing, stuffy, aching all over. Bob's house had a cold medicine which only relieves his stuffiness and aching, while Fred's home had Vicks NyQuil. It does the work of an antihistamine, decongestant, pain reliever, and cough medicine. So unlike Bob, Fred gets more complete relief. So he gets the rest he needs. That's the restful plus of Vicks NyQuil. It's the cold relief you want to come home to. Vicks NyQuil.
Dominant shift by the Vipers, forechecking, led by Ike Corvo. Little too aggressive on Paul Broughton. Gets the cross-check in the small of the back. Sends Broughton to the ice, sends Corvo to the box.
11th game back for Corvo. He's chipped in with 4 goals since returning after missing the first 21 games of the season. Due to that abdominal muscle groin injury that he really carried over from the end of last season. He's also picked up 12 penalty minutes now, including those 2, and the Komets having trouble getting through the neutral zone will try to reset from their own zone. 0 for 3 on the power play thus far tonight are the Komets as they wrap it around and into the Detroit zone. Dirk reverses it. Shaw gets to it, goes up the middle. That broken up by Gagnon. Between the circles, Bawa can't handle it to the line. Evans keeps it in, trying to feed it down low for LeBlanc. Poked away and now chased down by Dirk far side. Dupuis backhands it ahead. Walker took a swing at it but didn't get it out. Run down by Sean Evans on the right wing board. At the hash mark, sends it down low. Davidson stick handles with it there, bothered by Shaw. And I believe a penalty coming up here. And I think this is going to be coincidentals for slashing on Shaw and Davidson. I was not sure whether Denny LaRue had just Brad Shaw at first on that. But indeed, he'll take them both.
I was on the same wavelength as you. If he was going to take Brad Shaw off alone, I was going to be very surprised because Denny LaRue is the best referee in the IHL, and that would have been a very suspect call at this time.
They've struggled throwing the football. You know, no question about that.
Kind of a one-on-one battle along the corner. Shaw with the first slash, and then when Davidson returned the favor, LaRue said that's enough. He was going to let the first one go.
Yes, he was.
They're back. See them on the American Music Awards Monday, January 27th. We'll have to wait and see. Komets still on the power play as the shot from the line off Evans' stick didn't get through traffic. Still Lutz off the side of the net in behind the cage. Turning with it is Broughton in the left wing corner. Sends it low, gets it back from Duncanson, fires it across Murphy. Now to the line for Dupuis with a drive, save Perrott, rebound, jammed right back into him by Craig Duncanson. You can see Duncanson's shoulders drop a little bit in the disappointment as to where he put that rebound after Perrott held on.
Oh, Dunk's a former teammate of mine. He was a first-round pick of Los Angeles back in the mid-'80s.
So he must be really old.
He's getting there.
Played with you.
He played with me. And this is why he wasn't able to stick in the National Hockey League. Plays just like that, hitting the goalie in the crest on a doorstep rebound.
Let's give credit to Duncanson. He's still a good 3 months away from his 30th birthday.
Like I said, he's catching up to me.
He just went by 30, right?
Yeah, the wind whipped it. Whipped by 30.
Whipped right in front. Broughton scores off the post and in. His second of the night, and the Komets finally convert on the power play, and they have their first lead.
You saw the power play shots on goal at the end of the first, 6 of them. They're getting the looks they want, and they're getting a lot of pressure right on the doorstep of Rich Perrott. Good puck movement here, off the pipe. Another good shot by Broughton. Quick release. No chance for Rich Perrott.
Well, Duncanson fed it to him in front, but as they give us these assists, we don't see his number on there, and that's highway robbery if that's the case. 12th of the year for Broughton gives the Komets the lead. You talked about their power play shots. One of the reasons, and you mentioned it there on the goal, they have had good puck movement on the power play all night tonight. If you continue to move the biscuit like that, it's just a matter of time.
We've seen Broughton on both his goals. He knows what to do with the puck when he gets in that range. They're going to have to close him and not give him so much room in the offensive zone.
McCoolchick picks up 1 assist. They gave the other one to Rob Murphy, but there's a Duncanson assist change coming somewhere because there's no way he can't get a helper there. Brochu misses Corvo at center and sends it deep into the Fort Wayne zone. Well, it had been a good start to the second period for Detroit, but now they find themselves down a goal, and Simon's long shot through traffic, nearly boxed into the net that time by Torquia as he was very deep in his crease. Komets clear to center, and the Vipers forced to touch up. Ward at the blue line, and gets help from Simon, who throws it up the open left wing. And they have now made that assist correction, taking it away from Murphy and giving it to Duncanson. We were hard enough on him that shift.
I was going to say, I was kind of having some fun with Dunk there. I said that he's not in the National Hockey League, he's in the IHL. Well, I'm in the broadcast booth, so we can see what's going on there.
And a penalty coming up on Sean Gagnon in the corner as he took Steve Walker to the boards pretty hard. Take your pick there. That could be a cross check, could be boarding. And it looks as if Walker's feeling the effects a little bit. The IHL's penalty minute leader will add to his 193 minutes as he'll get 2 here, I believe, for a cross check. No, they're going to call boarding.
Could have been boarding, could have been cross-checking, as you said, John. But it definitely was ill-advised. His team just takes the lead, and that's how you lead the league in penalties. Sometimes those kinds of calls are ill-advised. Sean Gagnon not really showing very good restraint there.
Over 300 minutes in each of his last 2 seasons in the East Coast League, and Gagnon easily on a pace to duplicate that as he nears 200 here tonight. I mistakenly thought he had his stick on the back of Walker. He just had him wrapped up and shoved him into the glass. So make it 195 and make the Viper power play unit fresh on the ice. Savaglia wins the draw. To the left point, Shaw, as they'll overload this side of the zone for Simon. Simon leads the club in power play goals with 5, and as he gives it back to Shaw, he loses the handle. And the Vipers now must touch up, but they turn it over in the neutral zone. Long wrist shot gloved off as Duncanson got it on net, and Perrant has no option, and he's forced to hold on. The Vipers have joined forces with the Detroit News in its Helping Hands holiday program. For every Viper goal scored during tonight's game, Palace Sports and Entertainment will donate $100 towards the purchase of items for families in the Metro Detroit area. For more information on the Helping Hands program, call 313-222-2270. And Steve Ludzik hopes the donation is much more than $200 at this point in time.
You and that quick math again.
I've told you before, life is just one big math test. Behind the net, Brad Shaw, as Detroit starts up with 1.5 minutes to go in the power play. At center, drives it into the Fort Wayne zone. Corvo in hard of the forecheck. Goes down in a heap in the corner. Savaglia kicking along the wall has help. And Simon digs it free. Corvo got it in front, and Donnelly tried to go top shelf, but put it over top of the net. Donnelly cycles back to the line with it. He's got an opening. He'll step into one, and that went just wide. Rebound to the near point. Shaw holds it in. Rim of the near circle. This is Simon. Fakes going out. Now moves it across. Donnelly receives it, and wrist shot blocked. A good job by Ambrosiak. Vipers keep it alive. Savaglia to the slot for Simon, and that just went wide, even though he misfired on it. Shaw gets to Karam. Back to the line for Simon. They'll trade places. Simon, top of the circle, fires it in front, deflected, side of the net. Savaglia turned away. Looked as if he had a chance there. Vipers buzzing the net, though, as they keep it in. Again, Savaglia sends it low for Donnelly. Looks out high at the middle. This is Shaw. Back to Donnelly, top of the right wing circle. Fakes the shot. Savaglia on the goal line. Back to Donnelly. Lets it go. Glove save, Torchia. Not thought to be the fleetest of goaltenders, due in most part because of his size. Torchia showed ample mobility there.
He's ample, all right, girth-wise there, flashing out that left hand. Mike Donnelly's arms are probably tired. He teed the puck up at least 6 times on that power play. After feathering a 50-footer to start the game that found the net, he's had 4 or 5 better chances since then. Thwarted by Torchia, and he's also missed the net several times.
Oh, and Savaglia on the doorstep had a golden opportunity as Corvo deflected it right on, and then Pete put it right back into the Comet. Well, there's a lot of Mike Torchia to make the save. He checks in, at least in the books, 5'11", 215, but has been known to come to camp as heavy as 245 in years past with the Dallas Stars.
And not quite that tall either.
Vipers still on the power play down low, trying to stuff it as Tardif, and that turned away by Torchia. 10 seconds in the power play. Komets have yet to clear the zone. They don't this time. Nifty pass by Donnelly over to Tardif, and the rebound he can't quite get the handle on after Mongeau put it on net. The penalty is over out of the box. Gagnon, both teams full strength. Tardif to the line for Shaw, just keeps it deep. That one fluttered on net and gloved by Torchia one last time. Nearly midway through it, and the Komets have a 3-2 lead.
Nothing, just hanging around the house while LP's trying to do a painting here.
Talk to me, Blue. Come on, Green. Don't be so mean.
Yeah, that's what you want to call it.
Oh, Yellow, you my fellow.
Hold on one second.
Come on, Orange. Nothing rhymes with
So,
Orange.
what's the title of this painting?
It's a little something I like to call Undiscovered Genius of the Memphis Hardwood. Where you going? A little too sophisticated for you, huh?
Good power play. Once the power play had expired, still good pressure. Walking it right to the front of the net.
Oh.
Torquia held his ground, whether he wanted to or not, on the wraparound attempt by Tardif.
Torquia splitting time with Tim Chevelday of late, has played well since John Torchetti took over this hockey club. And playing well so far after a bit of a shaky start. Vipers come up empty on the power play, but not for lack of chances. Brochu given a rough ride in the neutral zone. Can't get the puck through. And Broziak takes it below the Detroit goal line. Tried to center. Jeff Parrott knocked that away. Back up the boards. McDonald flips it over top of the Detroit net. Bezo after it, bumped by Parrott. Over comes Todd Harkins. Harkins loses the handle out of the corner. The Vipers break out. Corvo quickly to left wing, has the opening, and will drive it in off of McDonald. Liam Garvey nearly overhandled it in the corner, but Ambrosiak ahead for Harkins. Donnelly trying to flip it back out of the zone. Ambrosiak lost it to Brochu. Darren Banks up with it there at center, now sends it in. Torquia behind the net. Gives it to his defense. McDonald has to go off his skate to center, and then he dives to poke it to the Detroit line. McLaughlin with it there. Jumps to the opening. Stick handles to center, into the zone, wide on the right side. Peter McLaughlin's backhander. Deflected over top of the net. He then fires it back off the back of the net. Ed Ward gets there, tried to center. That was blocked by Duncanson. Good play there. He had a man coming down the slot. It was Donnelly. Donnelly comes over to the corner to try to help out. Ward and Duncanson still in there, and then McDonald as well. They all go down on top of the puck, and the face-off will be in the circle to the left of Torquia. Talked about Torquia's play under new coach John Torchetti, and the whole team has seemingly responded to the coaching change, at least thus far.
All those numbers, a vast improvement on Fort Wayne's output to that point in the season. Sometimes just change for change's sake generates different results. You talked about Torquia's better play. You're not going to win without good goaltending.
Komets scoring nearly 4 a game since Torchetti took over. We see on that graphic, they're not even averaging 3 a game on the season. And as far as the goals they give up, they are last in the league, giving up nearly 4 a game and barely giving up 3 a contest since Torchetti took over. It's a long haul and a 2-line pass on Detroit as Bashkirov didn't realize he was offside. It's a long haul though, and once the newness wears off and the system set in, it'll be interesting to see how the Komets respond. But they were not responding at the tail end of Dave Farish's regime, to say the least.
And in large part, the numbers that we just saw in terms of improvement, this is why those numbers were so horrid going into Torchetti taking over this team. They just couldn't do anything right in terms of scoring or keeping the puck out of their own net.
And there you see the numbers that more mirror their season averages from goals against and goals allowed.
That 13-game streak really is what precipitated and necessitated that coaching change.
Dave Farish and his assistant Derek Ray both were relieved of their duties on December the 6th. As is so often the case, what do they say? You can't fire the players, you have to fire the coach. Unfortunate, Dave Farish, a good man and a good hockey man, as well as Derek Ray, now looking for work, but so far the Komets finding results in John Torchetti. An icing call here. The K's on top 3-2. Have trailed twice in the hockey game, and suddenly Detroit finds themselves on the short end. Mentioned a couple times, joined by the viewers on the TSN side of things, and you can tune in again in Canada on New Year's Eve. The Kansas City Blades and Houston Aeros go at it. Check your local listings for the time of that broadcast. All depends on where you are. That's the math I can't do, because they got that strange time zone up there.
Prince Edward,
out of the Maritimes. I don't know what time it is.
In Newfoundland.
Vipers up with it out of their own zone. Corriveau on the right side, across the line, moves it to Tardif, gets it back, rifles it just wide. Simon chasing to the far boards, beaten to it by Davidson. Lee Davidson into the Detroit zone, pulls up looking for help, looking for a trailer. To McCoolchick at the line. Just keeps it in as he spins it around. Follow with it there. Feeds it to the slot. McCoolchick just steers it wide as he was cutting off the line. Stephon Brochu kicking it along the wall, and the Vipers able to clear as Tardif just gets it out. McCoolchick sends it back in. Perrott forced to play it as the first man in would have been Brian Farrell. I haven't seen much of him since the opening first few shifts. Walker able to push it out. Bezo in the neutral zone, put it right on Simon's stick. Two of them ride one another along the boards. Pair of 13s, and McLaughlin chips it into the Fort Wayne zone. Ward hard in after it. Dupuis behind the net, picked up by Walker. Spun near corner, pinching off the point is McLaughlin. Just keeps it in. Ward doing all the lunch pail work right now, chasing the puck. Frees it up, and now Savaglia stick handling high in the zone, loses it as he was triple teamed. 2-on-1, the Komets the other way. Bezo without a helmet, the drive right on from Ambrosiak, and then he goes into Perrott, knocking it off the posts. And Bezo along the back wall as Ed Ward wrapped around him, and everybody comes in to join the fray. The Komets 3 and the Vipers 2. 7.5 to go, second period.
Hey, Annie.
Hi.
Love the hat.
I need it. My hair's a disaster. Look at my dandruff.
That's easy to take care of with the right shampoo. Here.
With ordinary shampoo, flakes can come back, but Head & Shoulders helps eliminate dandruff and stop flakes before they even start, so you may never see flakes again. And your hair.
My hair looks great. Thanks.
Don't forget your hat.
Who needs it?
Head & Shoulders, because great hair can't have flakes.
Elvis Stoico goes for the big one and gets the jump-on taste. A taste of McCain Frozen Punch. Year-round thirst-quenching taste like grape. Orange and McCain Fruit Punch. Made with real fruit juices for real fruit taste. That makes McCain the punch of champions like Elvis Stoico. Get the jump-on taste. The real fruit taste of McCain Frozen Punch.
Go for McCain. Get the jump-on taste.
NFL Prime Time. All the action Sundays on TSN.
Comes back, huh? I gotta start reading those memos.
Talk about a team that's struggling.
Yeah, they really the only team out of the picture in the Southwest Division. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, coming up in our next intermission, which is 7-10 away according to the big board here at the Palace. 3-2 Komets. Paul Broughton with the only goal of the period carries into the Detroit zone. His goal right now, the difference of the hockey game. He has a pair of them tonight. Donnelly throwing it through center, had his pass broken up, and transition for the Komets. Duncanson sends it in, side of the net. Perrott does a nice job to knock it out of midair and play it away for Shaw. Shaw fires it up the far side. Duncanson picked that off. Tried to center, and that went off a skate. Donnelly leads the rush the other way, has Banks with it. The trailer is Tardif as he comes across the line. Check it, it was Mongeau. Got it back to Donnelly, but he couldn't pull the trigger. Got upended, lost the puck, kept in at the line. Good job there by Jeff Parrott. Vipers get a change, allowing the Komets to play it out of the zone to center. Broughton tying up Brochu, and Duncanson lifts it in wide of the Detroit net. Look out as Jeff Parrott played that one up into the crowd over the short glass along the side wall. And speaking of our second intermission, we'll visit with a gentleman who used to call Detroit home. Tim Chevelday will be our guest.
Talking to Chevy before the game tonight, talking about how frustrating that streak was. I think we can talk a little bit about that. Start questioning yourself as a goaltender. How much more can you do? He felt he was playing pretty well. When the team's not winning, that's what you're measured by.
Well, and as no one knows perhaps better than Tim Chevelday, you are pretty much naked out there as a goaltender. I know you can appreciate it as well. The puck gets behind you, everybody sees it when you make a mistake. Other players sometimes get covered by teammates. Forwards often are saved by defensemen. Defensemen in turn are saved by goaltenders. But perhaps no one knows better than Tim Cheveldae how much blame can be heaped on a netminder when a team is not going well.
Well put.
Do I get honorary union privileges for that?
Yeah, I think we'll have to get the text of that and put it in the newsletter for next month. That was so profound.
5.5 to go, second period. 3-2, Fort Wayne. Puck pitchforked into the Komet zone by Todd Simon. Turning back up ice with it is Garvey. Plays it off the boards and flipped into the crowd once again, this time by Lee Davidson, and another 93-cent souvenir that draws a lot of attention. Faceoff will come back into the neutral zone. Vipers, as we mentioned a couple of times, second overall in the IHL in points, and looking up at Orlando, as is everybody in the league. The Solar Bears 31 games into it with 51 points, the only team in the league far and away to eclipse the 50-point mark. Cincinnati having a pretty darn nice season in third place with 37 points. The Northeast has proved to be a very difficult division this season.
Separation, though, between Detroit and Cincinnati. Finally, they were neck and neck a couple weeks back. Nobody able to really catch Orlando yet, but I'm waiting for those head-to-head battles between Detroit and Orlando, especially if Detroit can get healthy and get their regular lineup on the ice.
Vipers and Solar Bears have met only once this season. It was a game in Orlando that went to a shootout, eventually won by Detroit. It's the only home blemish for the Solar Bears this season. But in talking to the players on this Viper club, they seem to be more impressed with the Cincinnati Cyclones from a team standpoint. But again, everything being relative, they played the Clones 3 times and seen Orlando just that once. That was 2 months ago tonight.
Before they really got hot.
Before they heated it up, to the point of phrase. Team won 16 in a row, then dropped 2 out of 3, and or I should say, after winning 16 in a row, has only gone 8-2 since then. I guess that's the best way to put it. So they're just 24-2 in their last 26. Komets appeared to be offside as they brought it in, but Harkins keeps playing because there was no whistle. Fires it in front, and it ends up off a leg in behind the net. Penalty coming up to Detroit, or no? Penalty coming up to Fort Wayne. Boy, confusion reigning supreme out there. Halfway to the bench was Mike Torchio. We'll clear it up when we come back. 3-2 Fort Wayne.
Whether you're preparing turkey for a party of 60 or a family gathering of 6, it's got to be tender. That's why this chef insists on fresh Maple Leaf Prime turkey for his family. Always tender, always good. Grain-fed, fresh, and uniquely prepared to Maple Leaf's highest standards. It's our most tender, best-tasting turkey, and good value, too, which makes Maple Leaf Prime brand turkey the perfect choice for any occasion. Maple Leaf Prime. Great turkey, every time.
I thought you might be hungry. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Dave. Happy holidays to you, too.
If you're working hard this holiday, you deserve a big, hearty meal, like Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger Combo.
Thanks, Dave.
3 strips of hickory smoked bacon, processed smoked cheddar on a quarter-pound of fresh ground beef with sautéed onions, made when you order it, plus biggie fries and a drink. Come in for a Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger Combo today.
Happy holidays, Dave.
What a nice way to say happy holidays.
Gets the penalty. High sticking is the call at 15-18, but there was certainly some confusion. And what you won't see looking at this replay, as he got McLaughlin across the chin pretty good, was that the Armor referee, Denny LaRue, was up, and Mike Torchia was almost to center ice as play was allowed to continue as Fort Wayne handled the puck. And had Detroit come up with it, they had an empty net to shoot at it, 150 feet away, be it, but LaRue, realizing his mistake, just blew the play dead, and now Detroit goes to the power play. They have converted once this evening, and Simon moves it up the near side. Back of the line for Shaw, lets it go, and that blocked by Ambrosiak out to center. We've not seen a lot of Peter Ambrosiak tonight, but I've been impressed with his penalty killing.
Been able to get good, aggressive point coverage. He's blocked at least 2 shots that I can remember here tonight.
The Toronto native stays out on the penalty kill as the Vipers fire it back in. Garvey failed to clear. Detroit now allowed to set up as they work it to the right side. That's where Savaglia loves to quarterback this unit. To the line for Donnelly, back to Pete. He'll take it to the hash mark. Gets a little bit of pressure, now directs traffic from the half wall. A minute 10 to go on the power play. Simon gives him help. Across now, Donnelly, top of the circle to Savaglia. Gets the pass, rifles it wide, short side. Well, the patience paid off. They got a shot they wanted that time, just missed the net. Donnelly from the line now. Fakes the shot, gives it back to Shaw. Shaw's wrist shot deflected on the way. Torquia reaching for it, still doesn't have it, and it's pitched airborne across the crease by Corriveau. Vipers continue to get chances on the power play. 40 seconds to go on the man advantage as Shaw keeps it in, or check it, Donnelly at the line, then miss Shaw with it. Savaglia has to send it deep to the corner. Corriveau spins it around behind the net. Simon with it on the backhand, sends it back to the point. Half a minute in the power play as Shaw and Savaglia work the right side. Savaglia takes the drive, pad save, Torquia. Dupuis gets to the rebound and wires it to the line, held in by Shaw. That was key. Savaglia to the corner. Simon has a man, Donnelly between the circles, save. Torquia on the rebound, knocked out of midair to the line. Shaw gets it there, fakes the shot, across for Donnelly. Top of the left wing circle, again to Savaglia, handles it off the skate, back to Shaw. One-timer, flutters on net, and Torquia holds on with 3 seconds left in the penalty to Andy Bizzo.
Ike Corriveau,
everybody's
making
tired.
it happen. You're right, everybody's tired. But if you want to talk about what makes a power play go, you watch the perimeter puck movement. Sometimes you fail to see all the work done in front of the net. Stan Drulia usually supplies it. On this particular power play with Drulia out of the lineup, Corriveau working hard, taking the abuse, keeping the puck alive down low. Some great chances, all because of the hard work of Ike Corriveau in front of Torquia.
Guy Dupuis really laying the lumber on him there at one point in time. Face off to the left of Torquia. Final seconds of the penalty to Bizzo will expire as Detroit gets it to McLaughlin. He just keeps it deep. Both teams are full strength. Behind the net, Mongeau brings it near side, tried to center that, knocked away by Torquia. To the point, McLaughlin just spins it back around. Tardif, right side, lets it go. Bobby J with a long shot, stick save, Torquia, and he'll hold that. Down to 2:27 to go here in the second period. The Vipers have shot ahead on the shot chart, 27-21, after being outshot 15-8 in the opening period.
Safe to say that Torquia has found his rhythm and gained his confidence.
I'm going to venture into the math side of things again. I think that's a 19-6 shot advantage this period for Steve Ludzik's club.
I can't even call you on it because I don't remember what the shots were at the end of one.
That's what you call safe math. If you don't know the equation, you don't know whether I'm right or not.
Right.
Bobby J's shot off the draw, kicked away by Torquia. That's another save. Davidson hurries into the Detroit zone, tries to cut in front, and Perrott just getting the paddle down to knock that one away. Tardif stick handles out of traffic and brings it back to center. Gets the red line and golfs it in. Around it goes. Ward lost an edge, couldn't get to it. Bobby J pinched hard off the point, kept it in momentarily, and now it's flipped out. Stefan Brochu with it there, banks it to the open left wing. And now the Komets the other way. Brian Farrell into the Detroit zone. Long wrist shot glove by Perron, and he'll hold that. And a way to face off with now a $1:44 to go. The Komets, as we mentioned, may find themselves in last, not only in the Eastern Conference, but also in their Eastern Division, but aren't that far out of the playoff picture. They trail third place Michigan by only 6 points. They do have a game in hand coming into tonight with the K-Wings.
If you go 13 without a victory and can stay in contention, that's why I think the management's decision to make the coaching change before the season was awash was very, very critical.
In fact, they trail the Quebec Rafale by only 5 points and have 2 games in hand with the Rafale coming into tonight, so by no means is the season a loss. And you mentioned it, by making the move early, you stay away from perhaps venturing into that area and then making the last half of the season a very difficult one, not only for the players to play, but even for everyone to be part of. Play to the corner, Brochu banging with Farrell. He's able to kick it up, penalty coming up to Detroit. No, I believe another Fort Wayne penalty. Is down is Jeff Parrott. And he is holding his face and writhing in pain as Dave Boyer will come off the Detroit bench. I think he got a stick. And we'll see as Dave rushes out, towel in hand, to take a look at the Paw Manitoba native.
You love throwing that part in, but Dupuis and Donnelly were going at it pretty pretty well and pretty aggressively at the point. There was a lot of stick work, and
he is bleeding.
And it looks like it's above the eye as well. And if it's a nose, that's one thing, but if it's above the eye, that's a nasty gash to be bleeding that much.
We're going to get another look at it. Perhaps Stefan Brochu is going to be the one who gets him with the stick. Let's see if we can see. And it sure looked like his teammate's stick. And now it'll be interesting to see what the penalty call is, because unfortunately, the one they call Jeep is cut pretty good.
Brochu was all tied up with Farrell. Parrott was coming off of his man, Harkins. Brochu's stick was up high and unfortunately caught his teammate.
Well, this is interesting now. It will be a penalty on Detroit, and it will go on Stefan Brochu. So I guess the penalty was because his stick was up high. The irony of it is it hit his own teammate. There was a Fort Wayne player along the wall right there as well, so.
Right, he was in a battle with Farrell along the boards and had the clamps on him.
That was my initial thought as Farrell came out in front. He seemed to get a half step on Brochu, and he kind of wrapped him up. That's why I said at first, penalty coming up to Detroit. He and Farrell continue this battle, and unfortunately you're going to see Jeff Parrott get the stick to the face here.
Right. Parrott goes in on Harkins.
But here's the penalty.
Right.
And then when Savaglia touched up, it was blown dead. So I'm not quite as confused as I thought I was.
Well, no, and actually give Denny LaRue a lot of credit. He didn't panic. Unfortunately for the Vipers, it didn't go their way, but it is the correct call.
Yeah, and that's a tough one all the way around, because a defenseman for a penalty, Parrott, a defenseman, gets hurt. He's obviously done for the rest of the period. Now you're down to 4 period, and you're on the penalty kill. And we talked about the short-sheeted, depleted Viper defense, if you will. And Shaw able to clear as the puck comes to the near wall. So what Detroit wants to do now is turn this into a 2-fold penalty kill. There was a minute 28 remaining in the period when the call was made on Brochu. If you can get to the locker room, still down a man, you've been killed nearly 3/4 of the power play off, and you can be fresh for the remaining 28 seconds. Now right away they're able to clear as it comes back into the zone. Shaw retreats defensively as Savaglia goes to the bench for a change. Simon runs down the loose puck as it comes inside the Detroit line. 45 seconds to go in the period. And Shaw again hammers at the length of the ice. He's calling for a change as he tries to get to the Detroit bench as well. Simon in on the one-man forecheck. Sean Evans weaves his way out of the zone. Ahead on the right side finds Davidson. Rink wide into the Detroit end. Back after it, Bobby J. Ties his man up. Loose puck behind the net. Dirk got there. Wraps it around. Held in at the line. Mikulchik sends it down low. Nobody cutting to the front of the net for Fort Wayne. Finally, Bauer went there. Knocked away by Dirk. Comes back to him, and Robert will bank it up the boards the length of the ice. Inside 10 seconds to go in the period. Fort Wayne perhaps with time to rush it one last time. Garvey thinks so. He hurries to center, drives along, went in on goal. Perrott makes the save, and we will go to the third exactly where we stand. The Fort Wayne Komets, with the only goal of the middle period, take a 3-2 lead to the locker room, as well as 32 seconds of power play time. Despite being somewhat dominated at times in that period, John Torchetti's team goes to the locker room with the lead, Darren, and that's always a plus on the road.
Well, Torchia came up big, especially on the power play penalty kill for his team, because the Vipers got all the looks they wanted on their power play.
Goaltending is always a key, and the other half of the Fort Wayne equation this season is Tim Shevelday. He will be our guest coming up in our second intermission, where the Fort Wayne Komets have a 3-2 lead over the Detroit Vipers.
This sports break is brought to you by Gillette Sensor XL, the best a man can get.
Hi, folks. Great to see you. Welcome to the TSA Newsroom. I'm Michael Landsberg. Hope you can join us for Sports Desk at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Brendan, Connor, and me, and boy, do we have a treat. We have got the Colorado Avalanche against the Detroit Red Wings, rematch of last year's Western Conference Final, and it could be that again this year. Mike Vernon gets a starting goal for Detroit. A bit of a surprise. First period, nice save on Adam Denmarsh in all alone, but later on, seconds later, in fact, Sandis Ozolinsh gets the first chance here. That's Ozolinsh right there with a shot, actually the feed to that man Denmarsh, and he made no mistake that time, and that made it 1-0 for Colorado over Detroit after one period of play, and that's the way it stands. But that's not the only big matchup tonight. We have got Shaq against Jordan. That's the Lakers against the Bulls. Full roundup of the NHL, the NBA, and lots more. Sports Desk 11 Eastern.
Gillette presents a revolutionary antiperspirant for men. Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant. Unlike a stick that can stay in your underarm hair, this is a soft gel. It goes cleanly through the hair, directly to the skin surface, to fight odor and wetness where they begin, for effective, all-day protection. And its clear formula leaves no white residue. Gillette Clear Gel Antiperspirant.
The Fort Wayne Komets with a 3-2 lead over the Detroit Vipers after 2 periods of play. John Allers alongside Darren Elliott back with you at the Palace of Auburn Hills. We mentioned it at the outset. The Vipers thought they were in for quite an outing tonight against this Fort Wayne club because they're a little bit banged up, and that's exactly what's happened.
Well, they're in tough, and now we're down to a 20-minute game that really favors Fort Wayne and their aggressive style of play.
Yeah, Vipers a little bit depleted on defense. Remains to be seen if Jeff Parrott will come back. We'll try to get you a report as soon as possible. He was cut with just over a minute remaining in that first period, and of course they'll begin the third period with Stefan Brochu on defense, a defenseman in the box. Peter McLaughlin, a rookie, is beginning to get more and more ice time out of there out of necessity.
Well, Steve Lustig, I think, will shorten his bench and go with 8 or 9 or 10 skaters if he can to try to even up this game and get the lead in the third period.
Speaking of the bench, the man in the backup role on the Fort Wayne bench tonight is Tim Chevelday, the Fort Wayne goaltender, joins us standing by downstairs. And Tim, you guys went through a pretty rough run there earlier this season, and the change came December the 6th. What was the feeling in the locker room when a coaching change was made?
Well, I think any time a coaching change is made, it's means that you're not playing very well as a team, and I think it might be a wake-up call, and I think everyone had to realize that we weren't playing good, and we had to pick up our game, and John, our new coach now, he's a very energetic guy, very enthusiastic, and that sort of rubbed off on us, and we were playing a lot better, and the key, though, is try to keep it up for the remainder of the season.
Chevy, when you go through a tough stretch like that, it can be particularly difficult on the goaltenders. How do you keep your focus and your confidence up through a tough stretch like that?
You just try to look at it realistically. Like obviously you're the most important player on the ice, and you have the capability of winning and losing a hockey game, and sometimes you may put too much pressure on yourself, expect too much of yourself, and just try to keep it realistic. Am I playing bad, or am I playing pretty good, and maybe the team in front of me has to pick it up. So you just sort of got to sometimes step away from the game and take a look at the big picture.
Despite wins and losses, no matter what season it is, Tim, Fort Wayne is looked upon in a lot of eyes around the IHL as a small market city, but it's a pleasant surprise for the players. The fan support, win or lose, is always there, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a city with a lot of hockey history. It's been in the league for 45 years, and my family and myself enjoy living there and playing there. We get averaging around 7,000 people a game, and when we play a game on the weekend, it's the big game that weekend. There's, like you said, a lot of enthusiastic fans, and the biggest thing, they've been pretty supportive behind it. We weren't really winning a lot of games, but they just want you to go out there and work hard and play your behinds off.
Tim, on a personal level, it's your third organization now, the Boston organization that you're with right now, in 3 years. What are you looking at to get out of this season, moving into next season for the continuation of your career?
Well, I want to try to get on a roll and get in a groove and play some good hockey and feel good about my game again. I haven't felt real good about my game in a little while, and that's probably the biggest thing, is just go out there and feel confident and feel comfortable in the nets.
Tim, goaltenders make great color analysts, i.e. Darren Elliott, and I've worked with Darryl Ray as well, but you guys see the whole ice during the course of a game. What's the biggest difference you notice in your hockey club since the coaching change was made?
Well, I think there's a little more jump out there. We're supporting the puck a little better. We're trying to be a little more aggressive out there. When you give skilled players time and ice, they're going to usually make great plays, and I think we can still do a little better job of that, especially on the power play. But you want to play in-your-face hockey, and if they're going to beat you, make them beat yourself, I guess, with a great play, not give them that time and let them have all day to make a pass, take a shot.
Chevy, put your analyst hat on and we'll put that John's comment to the test. What can we look for here in the next 20 minutes, the third period?
Well, obviously Detroit's going to come at us pretty hard. You know, they're down by a goal there in their own building, and the key thing is not for us to sit back. We've got to keep going at them. We've got to play smart. Make sure we don't have any 3-on-2s, you know, on-man rushes. Do a little better job in the penalty kill. I think we're just sitting back and just letting them tee it up from all over. Torp made some big saves for us, so we've got to get a little better in that area. And like I said, just not sit back. Like sometimes you're in another team's building, you just sort of try to wait out the storm, but you've got to try to go out there and get that second goal.
What do you think? It's got a future.
It's got a future like all the old goaltenders.
Yeah, well, we're the smartest, the best looking, Darren. You should know that.
The Union is hard at work tonight. Tim Shovelday, thanks for taking the time. Happy holidays to you.
All right, thank you. My pleasure.
Tim Shovelday, tonight in a backup role for the Fort Wayne Komets, joining us here in our second intermission. His club on top of the Detroit Vipers. 3-2 our score after 2 at the Palace of Auburn Hills.
McCain changed potatoes into crispy bite-sized taters.
It's McCain Tasty Taters.
Bite-sized taters, crispy and golden brown on the outside. Crispy, so they lock in all that tender potato flavor you love.
You'll love the crispy flavor in a bite-sized taters.
McCain Tasty Taters in crispy bite-sized tater flavors. Cheese, regular, or Cajun.
Crispy the flavor in a bite-sized tater.
McCain Tasty Taters, crispy flavor in a bite-sized tater.
Winning depends on how far you dare to go. Victory requires talent, skill, and the determination to push to the limit. Living on the Edge is brought to you by Edge Shave Gel, because to win, you need the edge.
These are BC's coastal mountains, towering above the Pacific Ocean. Extreme skiers arrive by helicopter and look down at slopes that incline more than 60 degrees. Thrust your skis into firm snow. Hold the edge. A mistake can result in an endless slide down the steep face of an unforgiving mountain. Look out for a sudden avalanche or a hidden crevice, and drive towards the bottom far below.
Living on the Edge has been brought to you by Edge Shave Gel. Ultimate closeness, ultimate comfort, with 6 lubricants to help save your skin. That's the Edge.
Grown men crying, unable to control their emotions. That's what it's like to win a Stanley Cup.
Through the years, across the centuries, divide and on, men and teams have battled hard to win that gilded jug. Men of steel who'd come and gone, troopers all who'd scaled the heights to victory. Heroes, men who held the torch aloft.
Legends of Hockey, TSN.
3-2, the Fort Wayne Komets lead the Detroit Vipers after 2 periods of play at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Ironically, the 6th Tuesday game of the season for the Detroit Vipers. That equals as many Saturday games as they have played this season. And to follow that theme, it's a busy Tuesday in the IHL. 4 games in all. Let's check the out-of-town scoreboard for you and go around the I, where the Kansas City Blades are at home playing host to the Orlando Solar Bears, and they're having about as much luck as everybody else in the league's having with the Bears.
No surprise there. They're getting goal scoring from across their lineup, and of course, Father Time, Alan Best are getting better with time.
2-0, the Bears with the lead there. Milwaukee at home at the Bradley Center with a second period 2-1 lead over the Grand Rapids Griffins. And one other game in the loop tonight, a little bit farther out west, the 2-time defending Turner Cup champion Utah Grizzlies scoreless in the first period with the Quebec Rafale. Time now for us to take a look around the IHL in a different way in our weekly look at IHL news and notes, as we take a look around the International Hockey League in a different sense. And we look to the Southwest to begin things, where it is a wild, wild Southwest division. As we look at the standings in the Southwest, 4 teams separated by just 4 points, and Long Beach and Houston, Darren, have played themselves right back into it. Early on, it looked like a 2-team race.
A 2-team race with Utah well in front. Las Vegas came creeping back into it. Long Beach, John Van Boxmeer has put together a team out there through trades and acquisitions after training camp. Phoenix, unfortunately, you spoke to it earlier, almost out of it at this early point in the season.
Yeah, hard to believe only a third of the way through the year that you could be, but the Phoenix Roadrunners may very well be. Speaking to the Houston comeback into the race, one of the reasons we look at this week's IHL Players of the Week, and the Player of the Week this week is on the ice here tonight. Pete Savaglia of the Detroit Vipers having an outstanding week, playing his way back into the top 10, as we mentioned, in scoring and doing all the little things as well that oftentimes don't get you the Player of the Week. He's
always good in his own zone. He's always good on faceoffs. Now he's starting to get the points that are usually there for him. This streak started before this past week, but he gets the recognition as Player of the Week because of the 4 and 4 for 8 points.
Yeah, included in there for Pete, a 5-point game in the win over Manitoba last Wednesday night in which he had a hat trick. Going to the Houston point that I made earlier, though, they have won 10 in a row, have the Arrows. One of the reasons for the 3rd straight week, their goaltender, Fred Shabbat, is IHL goaltender of the week.
Those are very gaudy numbers. I don't know who said it, but it's very true. I've never seen a team on a winning streak that wasn't getting good goaltending. Houston is getting not just good goaltending, great goaltending.
And our final point in this evening's IHL News and Notes perhaps needs a little bit of clarification. It's Brown again atop the scoring charts. As you look at the IHL, Rob Brown has owned the IHL over the course of the last 3 or 4 years. In just about every phase, he's doing it again this season.
Usually the setup man for Malte over there in Chicago. Now he's scoring and getting the assists. He's just dominating the scoring race thus far.
He's leading the league in goals. He has Len Barry of San Antonio by 3. Everyone else in the league by at least a half a dozen. And his lead is even bigger in the point race, where the closest man to him, once again, Len Barry of San Antonio, 10 points back. And you look down there, you mentioned Steve Malte, the setup man. He's having a pretty nice season as well, but 38 points through the first 30-plus games. He's 18 behind his teammate as far as worrying about the team's scoring lead.
And Len Barry had to get real hot to close that gap at the top of that scoring race.
Yeah, and also speaking to Rob Brown, he's riding a 27-game point scoring streak coming into tonight's action in the IHL. That our look at IHL News and Notes for this Tuesday evening. It's a 3-2 lead the Fort Wayne Komets have over the Detroit Vipers after 2 periods of play. We'll be back with more, including the 3rd period after this.
When Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake," did she mean McCain deep and delicious cake? With a see-through dome that seals in the rich, moist flavor. So you can reseal it and put it back in the freezer. Until you just have to have another rich, moist piece. Try McCain Deep and Delicious Cake with the resealable Flavor Lock Dome. You can let them eat cake again and again.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for someone special?
It's Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger Combo, a quarter-pound of fresh ground beef, processed smoked cheddar, bacon, and sautéed onions.
You know, nothing says happy holidays like a big cheeseburger.
The current and 3 former World Curling Champions are ready to rock in Thunder Bay at the inaugural JVC TSN Women's Skins Game. $70,000 goes on the line and on the ice Saturday on the home of Skins Curling, TSN.
A 3-2 lead for the Fort Wayne Komets over the Detroit Vipers after 2 periods of play. Only goal of the 2nd period coming from Fort Wayne's Paul Broughton at the 4:53 mark on assist from Duncanson and Murphy. The puck movement on the power play for Fort Wayne has been their key tonight, and it was the key to this goal.
Also, too much time for Broughton to set this shot up in the slot. Nobody close enough to him to close the gap. He had all day, and he rang it off the far post on Rich Perron. They're able to beat the penalty killing scheme. Too much room in the seams leads to the goal.
For Broughton, his 2nd of the night and 12th of the season. And the stats tilting a little bit after 2 periods of play. The Vipers were down in shots, quality chances, and face-offs after 1. They made up for that, but the one stat they didn't make up for is on the big board.
You look at the power play shots in particular, in large part for the Komets. They had 1 shot on the power play in the first period. There were 3 power play opportunities. They had, do the math for me, John. They had 9 in that period, and that was the goal that put them in the lead in the 2nd frame.
Well, as the 3rd period gets underway, the Vipers will have Stefan Brochu beginning the period in the penalty box. He also took out not only himself on the particular play, but Jeff Parrott, his defensive partner. And we'll get another look at exactly how that happened as he gets a stick up on Brian Farrell, and unfortunately it comes down on the bridge of Jeff Parrott's nose.
inadvertent and very unfortunate. Brochu had the penalty for holding his man, and Parrott had come in to take his man. Harkins against the board, got clipped pretty severely up in the face, looked really close to the eye as well.
Yeah, we'll try to get a report as to the status of Jeff Parrott and whether or not he will return. I do not see him out there skating in the warm-up at this point in time. And again, we've made light of the Vipers' blue line core and how, in fact, they are a little bit light. Now with 4 to begin the period, Brochu comes out of the box in 32 seconds. So you can certainly go with 5. But when Steve Ludzik has to go with 5 and really only 3 of them are regular defensemen, he's asking a lot.
And that's where he's going to try to shorten that bench. You look at him exhorting his troops to come on, let's fire up, get through the early part of this penalty kill, and let's take it to this Fort Wayne team, because when Detroit is in their zone, they have pretty much had their way.
Well, as the third period gets underway, Detroit still shorthanded and trailing. They are 2-6-1 this season when trailing after 2. And a whistle blows as the long shot got by Rich Perrant. And no goal, as it was offside. The Komets coming into tonight, 9-14-6, have led out of 29 games this season going into the third period only 7 times. They are 5-1-1 when in that situation, and that says a lot because it is so difficult to win in pro hockey when you trail after 2 periods of play, whether you're down 6-1 or 2-1. And every year that is evidenced by statistics, and this year no different. Play to the corner, final 10 seconds now, the penalty to Brochu. To the line, Evans holds it in across for Dupuis. His drive went wide. DeCarum bounces to the near side, and Evans keeps it in. Up the wall, Shaw fanned on it as he tried to clear. Murphy keeps it in. Brochu's out of the box, full team's full strength. Evans fed it in front for Murphy. It rolls off a skate right on, and Perrant covers it up. Vipers nearly at their season average, having given up 24 shots on goal to this point. They give up just over 26 a game. Be remiss if we didn't send out congratulations to Komets center Paul Willett and his wife Lisa, proud parents of a baby girl, their first, Kaylee Savannah Willett, born yesterday morning at 7:59 a.m. and that's the reason Paul Willett is a scratch tonight for the Fort Wayne Komets.
Best reason in the world.
In fact, the notes coming from the Fort Wayne PR department said that it was Paul's greatest assist of his career.
Well put.
Have to give credit where credit is due on that one. Chuck Bailey, the PR director of the Fort Wayne Komets, coming up with that. And he's right. Komets now 1 for 5 on the power play tonight. Off the draw in the Detroit zone. Long blast by McDonald goes wide of everything. Near side held in. Jam at it in the corner, and Bobby J able to freeze it for a face-off.
Really enjoyed visiting with Tim Chevalier. Played against him when he broke in the American Hockey League, and we did some hockey schools together. And he may feel that he doesn't have any fans here in Detroit anymore. This proves that that's not true.
And they put him up on the big board here at the Palace, and he gets a nice cheer from the fans. So you can go home. McLaughlin hauls down in the corner. Puck comes around near side. Bobby J trying to bring it up the boards. Gets help from Tardif. Comes back in front and now sends it across for Corrival. Ike finds it and now drops it back for his defense. Just over a minute into the third. 3-2. Fort Wayne has the lead. First meeting of the year between these two clubs. Detroit has won 14 of the 17 previous meetings between these clubs. McLaughlin from behind the net spins it around the boards. Tardif finds the handle ahead at center. Simon off his skate got it into the zone, but nobody there to receive it. And it sent the length of the ice back into the Detroit zone. Shaw on it at the line for Tardif. He just redirects it in wide of the net. Torquil will take no chances as he pulls it in and smothers it. Jeff Parrott now wearing a shield back to the Detroit bench. like he may have split his lip a little bit there as well.
He looks like he may have gotten the full shaft and the blade. Looks like his lip, his nose, and above his eye, all showing marks, stick marks.
But he'll be back in the lineup, obviously. That's why he's on the bench. And the play to the corner off the draw. Farrell loses the handle, bringing it out of the zone. Donnelly nearly picked his pocket from behind. Sent through center and swatted away by Bashkirov. Vipers on a bit of a forward lock forecheck that time, and it's played away the length of the ice. Bezo touches it. They wave it off, apparently on a deflection. Thought at first the linesman had him for a two-line pass. Shaw gets it back for Donnelly. Crossed the line. Goes wide to the left side, lost an edge, and now loses the puck. Mikulchik has it at the puck. Mikulchik has it at the Fort Wayne line. Rink wide for Gagnon. His pass off the stick of Bezo, errant into the Detroit zone. Savaglia down low for Shaw. Hammers it up the boards. This will go the length of the ice. Detroit was making a change, and easily icing will be the call. Both these teams' next action coming up on Friday night, as Kansas City will be here to take on the Vipers, and the Komets return home for a date with interstate rival Indianapolis. College basketball will be here at the Palace on Saturday as the University of Michigan Wolverines play host to the Arizona Wildcats. A 3:45 tip. For tickets, the Palace box office or any Ticketmaster location.
What a great game for all you college hoops fans. 4 versus 6 in the nation right here at the Palace. Big Wolverine fan there, no pun intended.
Seems like anywhere you go, you can find the Michigan fan or the Michigan paraphernalia. Traveling around the country and around the continent, you always seem to find the maize and blue somewhere.
I believe they're #1 in the nation in merchandise sales.
Ed Ward across the line on right wing, pitches it right on Torquia. Did not handle it. Banks got a piece of it, but it rolled right back into him. And he was able to cover up for his initial error. Darren Banks, a Windsor native, as he told us in our first intermission, was our first guest. And, of course, a Saskatchewan native, Tim Chevelday, joining us in our second intermission. Just a pair of a number of the Canadian natives as part of tonight's game. And once again, want to greet all the fans joining us tonight on TSN, north of the border. Although for us, Windsor's south of the border.
A little bit south. IHL put out a real good summary of the makeup of the pro leagues, the NHL, the AHL, and the IHL. Largest number of Canadian contingency in the IHL at 70%.
Off the draw, Brochu at the point. Sends it down low. Savaglia being held off, couldn't get to it. It comes around near side. Banks trying to pitch it on the backhand and keep it in. Savaglia in the middle of the scrum. Pushed it ahead. Dupuis gets the handle and sent it in, but offside is the call. We're early in the third. Fort Wayne has a 1-goal lead.
This man is having a dream. He has gone to work without clothes on, which means he doesn't have his Visa card. Visa, all you need.
You can tell which house has the Vicks NyQuil and which doesn't. Bob and Fred both came home coughing, sneezing, stuffy, aching all over. Bob's house had a cold medicine which only relieves his stuffiness and aching, while Fred's home had Vicks NyQuil. It does the work of an antihistamine, decongestant, pain reliever, and cough medicine. So unlike Bob, Fred gets more complete relief. So he gets the rest he needs. That's the restful plus of Vicks NyQuil. It's the cold relief you want to come home to. Vicks NyQuil.
Before the puck is dropped. Saturday nights are spent here. SO NHL Saturday night. This weekend, TSN.
NBA 2-ball is presented locally by the Pistons, Meyer, Coca-Cola, and Michigan Parks and Recreation. .16.5 to go. 3-2, the Komets on top. Vipers work to free it up in the neutral zone, and they do so, but offside as Simon thought it was onside. Have yet to see Jeff Parrott return to the ice, but we do see the visors, so the plan would be he'll be back in there. And as you mentioned, Darren, he's cut in a couple different spots, and he did break his nose.
Well, when I saw all that blood when it first happened, I was at least hoping that that was from the nose and not from the eye. If you would have said they got cut in the mouth, broke his nose, and cut above the eye, you would have been right on all counts.
Of course, one of the concerns when you lose as much blood as he did is how's he going to feel when he gets out there skating around? Is he going to get lightheaded? Is he going to get dizzy? Is he going to be able to take it? And he's yet to find out. He's been out since early in the third. He returned. He did not return during the intermission. Vipers trying to get the pressure going in the Fort Wayne zone. Detroit trails 3-2, and offside suddenly seems to be the popular call as the Komets bring it in. John LeBlanc spent part of last season with this club and part of last season with the Orlando Solar Bears.
Came over at the trading deadline. Had to be a little bit of a disappointment for a player that Orlando went to the Turner Cup Finals, and of course this season they're aspiring to that and more.
Playing alongside former Solar Bear Craig Duncanson again this season, so he's not alone in that situation.
The Dunk came over here of his own accord as a free agent.
It was a trade that sent Darren Smith to Orlando last season, as Darren mentioned, at the trading deadline. Vipers looking for the equalizer. Donnelly down low, turned away by Liam Garvey. Lee Davidson sends it up the boards. Bauer got a piece of it, not out. Walker pulls it off, rifles it to the corner, gets it back, shot, save made by Torkia. Sprawled in front was Mongeau on the play. McDonald runs down the carom to the corner, sends it up the boards. Vipers keep it alive. Again, it's Walker with a shot, and Torkia sticks that one away. Good shift for Steve Walker, who got a couple of good chances. Puck cleared back to the Detroit zone. Perrant plays it ahead for his defense. Mongeau had it hop his stick, and Farrell, bumped by Walker, flips it ahead. Detroit sends it deep as Brochu dumps it in. Vipers get a change. Komets the other way. Gagnon headmans it on the left side for Farrell into the Detroit zone. Looking around, Robert Dirk picks his spot, spins it for Corriveau. Off his stick, came up on top of the dasher. Now Farrell bumps him from behind, and they'll freeze for a face-off.
Snyder checking here. We haven't heard Rich Perrant's name called here very much lately, as the Vipers have kind of taken it over. Played very well, as we've mentioned, and we talked about the players of the week in our second intermission segment. He's been runner-up on a couple of counts.
This past week for goaltender of the week. Last month in November, he was runner-up for goaltender of the month. He's second in the league in goals against, third in wins, and fifth in minutes played. But I don't think he's too worried about leading the league in any of those particular categories. He just happens to be near the top of all of them. Jokingly said to me this morning, what would I have had to done to be goaltender of the week? He said all Shabbat did was get 2 shutouts last week. Does that mean I needed 3?
Yeah, we talked about Shabbat going back to back to back as goaltender of the week, 3 successive weeks.
Tardif at center, lifts it to the open right wing. After it is Corriveau. He bumps McCoolchick to the back wall, then Ivan went down. He gets back up as the play comes up the wall. Sealed off, Simon comes up with it across the crease looking for Corriveau, and that hopped his stick. Dirk keeps it alive, spins it right back into Simon, who was still getting up after he was taken out of the play. Farrell along the boards, battling hard with Tardif, who put the shoulder to him, but he was able to get it out. Dirk has to wait for the mates to touch up and flips it back in, wide of the net. Torkia out to glove it down for Gagnon, and his pass is well errant. And we'll go the length of the ice, and Brochu touches up. Icing is the call. Stefan Brochu, one of the leading assist men in the Colonial Hockey League coming into tonight's action, moves the puck pretty well. Picked up 31 helpers thus far up in the Colonial League as a member of the Flint Generals.
Seeing a lot of ice time, obviously for the reasons we've talked about, a depleted defensive core.
Face off to the right of Torquia. Savaglia unable to control it. Komets have done their fair share on the face-off. Long outlet pass into the Detroit zone forces Perrant to come out and sweep it away. Murphy frees it up for Broughton, trying to come to the front of the net. It's still underneath him. Shot swept wide of the mark short side by Duncanson. Murphy goes hard to the boards down low after players sprawled all over the place. Hand passed ahead by Bobby J. And now Bashkirov trying to help out. Duncanson fires it side of the net. Bashkirov comes back and circles with it. Andre Bashkirov plays it up the boards. Too far, though. Dupuis sends it back. Ed Ward had it in his boots, couldn't find it. Now gets it back and wraps it in. This will be icing if Fort Wayne gets there first, and they do. Really settling into a neutral zone type of hockey game here in the third period. Komets being very careful. Detroit newspapers night coming up at the Palace on Thursday, December the 26th, as the Pistons host the Pacers. 4 tickets, 4 soft drinks, 4 hot dogs, a tub of corn, and your choice of 2 shirts or hats, all for just $65. As good a deal as you'll find in the NBA. Call the Palace box office for more information. Gary Hall, the Komet trainer, leaving the ice. I did not see if he was preceded by a Fort Wayne player. I believe so. No, that's the athletic trainer. That's not the equipment manager as well, so it'll be interesting to see if he returns. Seen a lot of players losing an edge tonight out there. Brad Shaw does it here, and now puck sent back into the Fort Wayne zone. Take your pick, 2-line pass if Mongeau plays it. Either way, we get a whistle. Fort Wayne has the lead.
Elvis Stoico goes for the big one and gets the jump-on taste. The taste of McCain Frozen Punch. Year-round thirst-quenching taste like grape. Orange and McCain Fruit Punch. Made with real fruit juices for real fruit taste. That makes McCain the punch of champions like Elvis Stoico. Get the jump-on taste. The real fruit taste of McCain Frozen Punch.
Go for McCain. Get the jump-on taste.
Can you get all the beauty of a liquid, a powder, and a concealer in one makeup?
CoverGirl says yes, with Ultimate Finish Liquid Powder Makeup.
Like magic, it goes on weightlessly to cover and conceal where you need it. Just like a liquid makeup and concealer, then transforms to the soft finish of a powder.
It's all you need, all in one, for the ultimate natural look. Ultimate Finish Liquid Powder Makeup. All you need, all in one. Only from CoverGirl.
Exhausting, extraordinary, excessive, exhibit, exuberant, exposure, extrasensory. Extreme action, right here on TSN.
Face off in the neutral zone between Lee Davidson and Michel Mongeau, controlled by Detroit. Robert Dirk brings it to center, hammers it around the wall. Walker comes in near side, comes all the way to the right point. Shaw kept it in. Liam Garvey now takes it behind his own net. Garvey played last year with the San Antonio Iguanas with John Torchetti. Bad bounce off a stanchion, nearly keeping the puck in the Fort Wayne zone. So often is the case, Darren, a coach gets a chance and he'll give players that he appreciated the effort from at a different level or a different team a chance as well.
It allows him to implement his system quicker because these guys already understand how he coaches, what his style is like.
Good 3-man rush by Detroit, but Donnelly's pass intended for Walker didn't get through. A guy named Keenan's been known to do that, hasn't he?
Time and again, guys like Hudson have made a career just by having Keenan move around the league.
He's had the same team everywhere he's gone. It's just he's been with a different team every time.
That's right. Except for the stars, all the plumbers, if you will, the third and fourth line guys, he's brought with him.
A lot of guys whose hockey card reads Chicago or Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, St. Louis. Playing the Detroit zone. Hard forecheck coming from Fort Wayne. It's surprising from a team on the road with a 1-goal lead about midway through a third period, but Komets looking for the tonic. Keep their winning ways going. They've won 2 in a row coming into tonight. Vipers 2-0-2 last week. Brochu from behind the net, throws it up the ice, picked off by Sean Evans, and he just steers it back in. Perrant wanders way out to play it. Comes across the slot before Perrant did, and lucky for him, Corriveau was there to cover up. Breakout up the middle. Simon moves it on right wing for Tardif. He hits the brakes, loses the puck. Flipped right back in by Guy Dupuis. Nearing the halfway mark of the third period. 3-2 Fort Wayne, all but one goal coming in the opening period. And the way it looked early on, I thought we were in for an 8-6 game. And now it's settled more into the 96-97 style of 3-2.
Plus the goaltenders, both of them settled down after a shaky first 10 minutes.
Brochu wires it around, and that'll escape the zone. Komets couldn't play it. They were making a change. They will call this icing. And the faceoff will come back into the Detroit zone. One of those borderline calls that is made on this particular occasion. Check out the Vipers this year on the World Wide Web, www.detroitvipers.com. It includes information, scores, and a chance to win prizes. The internet services developed and programmed by Sequoia Diversified Products. Call them at 810-299-4220. Face off to the left of Rich Perrant in the Detroit zone. Savaglia to take it for the Vipers against Lee Davidson for the Komets. He has LeBlanc with him. Savaglia wins the draw. Jay behind the net now for Bradshaw. He just feathers it out to center ice. Savaglia bumped into by McDonald. Dirk trailing the play. Able to chop it in deep. Ward gets on it behind the net for Donnelly. Tied up there by LeBlanc. Sent around the board. Pinching is Robert Dirk. Puck comes right back to Ward. To Savaglia. Set it to Donnelly. Oh, knocked away by the pad of Torchia. And players strewn all over the ice. A whistle. Donnelly tried to hit the brakes and pull it back around Torchia, but he slid the pads out and was able to stack it away. LeBlanc in the corner slow to get up, as was Donnelly. Gary Hall, who has returned to the ice, got halfway to his fallen forward, and of course, as is so often the case, watched him get up and skate by him.
I was going to say, Hall returned to the bench. We don't know why he had to go to the locker room in the first place. LeBlanc was okay. Donnelly stayed down, I think, out of exasperation, because he did have his head up on this play. You saw Torchia with the poke check early, tried to go short side, but Torchia stacked the pads.
The whole chance created when Robert Dirk pinched off the left point. Bit of a D attack that time, and it worked for Detroit to a T. Savaglia with just a touch pass looked as if he was the open man and quickly gave it up to his goal-scoring winger. And Donnelly, as you mentioned, a little bit frustrated when Torchia got the big pillows in the way. Dirk will hammer it around the boards back in. Torchia awaits it behind the net, now sweeps it along the wall. Shaw held it in. Leaves it on the dasher for Savaglia, back to the point to Shaw. Lets it go, deflected in front as Ward had the screen, but again, Torchia's there to cover it up.
Big difference with Torchia now compared to earlier in the game. No rebounds. He's controlling his rebounds much better. Seems to be much more confident in his positioning to begin with.
I haven't had a chance to talk to you since I saw this piece in USA Today about the width of the goaltender's pads. Now, I don't know about today's goaltenders. They say 12 inches is the limit. I remember talking to you one time off camera. You said yours were 18.5 inches wide. Is that what it was?
And I still had a big 5-hole. Too big, as it turned out. One of the differences that's happened, the old deer hide and leather pads used to expand, so the league had to be a little bit liberal. Now with the man-made materials, guys are having to manufacture illegally.
So you're saying yours was just through dumb luck. Everybody else is cheating.
Nowadays they're cheating. Well, the thing is, you don't have the expansion and contraction that you used to have, and the league had to step in. I think some of the measures that the NHL is taking are a little bit extreme in terms of suspensions and the like, but that remains to be seen how they actually mete out those kinds of suspensions for illegal equipment.
Have to be careful. You might date yourself again talking about the different materials used.
I know.
You did wear a mask, though, right?
Yes, I did. Contrary to popular belief, this does have a good face for radio.
Play into the Fort Wayne zone. Vipers getting borderline desperate now. Down to 8.5 to go. Only down 1. Corbo with a blind centering pass. Picked off by McCoolchick, and will carry up the right side and flip it into the Detroit zone. No icing as Bobby J's back to get it. Gets a pick from Ed Ward. Told by Rich Perrant to wheel with it, and luckily finds Brad Shaw on a dangerous cross-ice pass. Ward trying to drop it for the trailer Donnelly. Knocked away, and the Komets the other way. 2-on-2, Bauer on LeBlanc. Long drive by LeBlanc, sticked away by Perrant. Shaw to the corner after it. Donnelly to help out. It's reversed away out of the reach of Dirk, but he's got room and he's got time. Up the boards now for Ward. Simon joins the rush at center and pitches it wide of the Fort Wayne net. Donnelly in hard after it. McCoolchick and he battle in the corner. Overcomes Simon to try to dig at it. Up the boards it gets by Dirk and out to center ice. Brochu hinges back to get it. Again, the Vipers with a bit of a D attack as we're seeing the Blue Liners pinch from the point. Icing the call here. 7.5 to go. Detroit down a goal.
Whether you're preparing turkey for a party of 60 or a family gathering of 6, it's got to be tender. That's why this chef insists on fresh Maple Leaf Prime turkey for his family. Always tender, always good. Grain-fed, fresh, and uniquely prepared to Maple Leaf's highest standards. It's our most tender, best-tasting turkey, and good value, too, which makes Maple Leaf Prime brand turkey the perfect choice for any occasion. Maple Leaf Prime. Great turkey, every time.
World Junior Hockey Championship coverage begins December 27th, TSN.
Catch the men's downhill competition from Italy on TSN.
You only say that because you always have yours in my hip pocket. Face off to the left of Perrant in the Detroit zone. Fort Wayne 3, Detroit 2. It has been that way since the 4:53 mark of the second period. Walker for Detroit. Rink wide for Darren Banks. He'll dump it into the Fort Wayne end. Torkia with 33 saves already out to play it from behind the net. Liam Garvey headmans it through center. Too far for Ambrosiak and just banked up the wall back through center. Banks will reach back, get to it, tried to cradle it to the forehand, but couldn't get it away. Ambrosiak hit hard by Banks at center, loses the puck. Komets cover up, and Garvey will send a sand wedge into the right corner. Good job by Brochu to reverse it away from the pressure that was right upon him. Savaglia, his centerman, over to get it. Stick handles out of trouble, now to center, goes around Dupuis, reaches out and pokes it deep into the Fort Wayne zone. Detroit getting a change. And Garvey plays it away. Rob Murphy up the near side, knocked down by Tardif. Patrice Tardif tries to cut in front, rolled off his stick, and rifled back to center ice. Murphy came to the rescue on that one. Corbo will wire it back around the boards and in. Tardif goes after it, tried to center, score! No goal! No goal! A penalty coming up to Detroit, no goal. The penalty is on Corbo, no goal. Wow. What a break for Fort Wayne. Torkia was out of the net. It went off of Fort Wayne's skate into the net. But the ruling is that the penalty blew the play dead the minute the puck was touched on the back wall by Detroit.
I didn't see the infraction because Torkia played it behind his back.
It's Corbo who tripped him, and the ruling is that as soon as Tardif touched the puck, the play was blown dead. We'll see. It's going to be Corbo right there for the trip. And the ruling is as soon as Tardif touches the puck to center it, the play is dead.
The ruling is right. The penalty is weak, in my estimation. It was skate on skate. Torkia was scrambling to get back in the net, and Corbo, as is his style, hard in on the forecheck, Ludzik can't believe it.
Well, no penalties have been called in the third period by Denny LaRue. His timing is, if nothing else, ironic and unfortunate from a Detroit standpoint. Tardif would have been credited with a goal as it went off a Fort Wayne skating in, but now not only is the game not tied, but the Vipers are shorthanded, and even if they kill the penalty off, they're down to 4 and some change to try to tie it.
Talk about double jeopardy on these penalties. Brochu takes a penalty at the end of the second period and takes his partner up, Parrott, out with a inadvertent high stick. Double jeopardy here. Instead of a game-tying goal, you're now killing a penalty with 6 minutes to go in the third period.
Incidentally, we have not seen Jeff Parrott since then. He did return to the bench to watch his mates. I thought, knowing Parrott, that he would return, but not the case. Simon keeps it in as the play's in the Fort Wayne zone now, a half minute into the penalty, and I think Denny LaRue has another call here, and Denny LaRue just caught the stick of Rob Murphy as he tried to skate by. I don't know what he's got here. I think he's got Murphy for a slash, and that speaks volumes in itself.
I went out on a limb there, I thought, talking about the Corvo thing, but I really did think it was inadvertent watching the replay. Now I'm pretty sure of it that Denny LaRue feels that maybe he got a little whistle happy on that Corvo play because the puck ended up in the net.
Well, you saw as we shot to the Detroit bench right after the whistle and the penalty, everyone looking up at the scoreboard. The Palace, being one of the nicer buildings in the IHL, has the advent of a Jumbotron, and the replay was showed widely throughout the building on that Jumbotron. They can't use replay in the IHL, but it's not to say Denny LaRue may not have looked up and seen it. Now watch him as he's coming over to make this penalty call. He got Murphy's stick as Robert Dirk came over and got a piece of it. So 4-on-4, and Detroit will have a power play for 31 seconds, barring any other calls, as the long wrist shot by Shaw is grabbed.
4-on-4 has to favor the Vipers, as we talked about in the Keys. With their speed wide, they can really take advantage here in this 4-on-4 situation.
And in another minute 25, they would have a short power play chance. Face off to the left of Torkia. Savaglia to take it, as he will take most of the big draws for Detroit down the stretch. Davidson has handled him pretty well tonight, and he wins this one. Duncanson sends it back behind the net. A bouncing puck that Dupuis gets the handle on, lifts to center, knocked out of midair by Shaw, and then played by Tardif. That's a high stick. And that may be one of the better plays of the night, because I believe Davidson was onside, and he was behind the defense. Shaw reaching up with the good hand-eye coordination, able to make this swat out of midair that may end up whistling the play down, but also allows the defense to reset itself.
Coach Torchetti has to be happy with the effort here. It's been pretty consistent from start to finish by his squad.
The 21st head coach in Fort Wayne Komet history. Shaw backs it into his own zone. Donnelly keeps the handle and plays it up the board. Mongeau, one-on-one, looking for help. The drop pass to Donnelly, cuts to the middle, fans on it. Still loose between the circles. Mongeau turns, shot right on, rebound. Dirk had a whack at it, and the save made by Torkia. Down low, everybody crashing hard for Detroit. Mikulchuk spins it around and soft up the boards and out. The play made by Liam Garvey. Vipers get changes as Mongeau stick handles to the line. Got it in now for Ward. Touch pass back to Brochu, and a stick save made by Torkia once again. He's had all the answers in the last 2 periods, has Mike Torkia. Inside 5 to go in the game. Vipers will have a half-minute power play in 20 more seconds as Mikulchuk plays it along the back wall in his own zone. Pass up the boards. Bobby J left all by himself out there. Did a good job to take his man to the boards. Walker loses the handle through center, and it's sent back into the Detroit zone. The power play will begin on an icing call. That's a break for Detroit, as out of the box comes Corvo, and 31 seconds even for the Detroit power play. That's a huge break. Bobby J made a very nice play on Peter Ambrosiak moments ago. Not only is this a good check, but Ambrosiak had one man to beat. It was Bobby J.
And I don't know if Bobby J realized the rest of his mates were changing. He went over and took his man one-on-one. If Ambrosiak was able to chip that puck by him even, it's trouble for the Vipers.
Steve Ludzik starting to go to the clipboard now as time begins to wind down. 4:19 to go. Detroit's power play, 1 of 4 tonight, but 12 shots on goal. Savaglia wins the important draw to the right of Torchia. Corvo back to Shaw, touches it over to Savaglia. Not much time for the extra man unit. Fires it in front, and that deflected out of play. Check if that was Simon looking for Savaglia. Todd Simon, one of the many players that was adamant before the game and making sure the game was on TSN all across the country, because I got a lot of people in Toronto, he said. My family especially, they're going to be looking for me tonight. And he is the guy to look for on the Detroit power play.
Savaglia probably telling him that that was a low percentage pass hard across the slot there.
Donnelly misfiring on a one-timer. Savaglia trying to keep it alive down low. McDonald sends it up the boards. Shaw kicks it back in, and the puck covered. Boy, Denny LaRue could easily call delay a game there, but what it does is kill the penalty. Murphy's time has expired. He's out of the box, and both teams are full strength. Perrant plays it way ahead for Shaw at center. Brad Shaw flips it up the boards as the Vipers going hard after it. Corvo along the corner boards. Has it between his skates, looking for somewhere to kick it to. Doesn't want to just kick it for the sake of kicking it free, but can't get it to Mongeau. LeBlanc able to get it out. Shaw rifles it back to Simon, who waits for Corvo to get onside, then pitches it back in. Vipers get wholesale changes on the go. 3:15 to go in the hockey game. Near side, Gagnon gets it out of the Fort Wayne zone. Trickles to the Detroit line. Ward able to cover up. It'll roll right on net, and Perrant forced to cover. Back for the stretch run. It's a one-goal hockey game after this.
Defending Scott and world champion Marilyn Bodo headlines the inaugural JVC TSN Women's Skins Game. Don't miss a two-day showdown in Thunder Bay for $70,000. Semifinal coverage begins Saturday on the home of Skins Curling, TSN.
Exhausting, extraordinary, excessive, exhibit, exuberant, exposure, extrasensory, extreme action, right here on TSN.
Join us on the television side. Don't forget the radio side. All season long, 11:30 a.m. WDFM. 3 minutes to go in the game. Vipers down 3-2 as the Komets just try to keep it alive in the Detroit zone. Bawa does that. Back to Dupuis, who just does keep it deep. No shot, so he just sent it to the corner. LeBlanc and Bobby J battle for it there. Comes ahead for Tardif. He had everybody breaking. Able to lift it ahead. 3-on-2 of the Vipers if they hurry. The trailer, Mongeau, his shot deflected on the way and then sent to the corner out of midair. Ward was going hard to the net that time. Back up the wall, the Komets able to clear, and Shaw hinges it back for Brochu. Quick pass misses Ward, but gets deep into the zone. Dupuis behind the net, fires it to the corner, picked off there. Tardif in front, looking for Mongeau, and he was spun around as the deflection came to Bawa. Boy, both teams changing. Vipers nearly got caught as Mongeau's pass was picked off by Duncanson. Shaw reverses it for Dirk. Now 2:05 to go in the game. We'll keep an eye on Rich Perrant, but an errant rink-wide pass is easily sent back in by Murphy. Robert Dirk back to get it behind the Detroit net. Inside 2 to go. Rushes the puck ahead. Corriveau didn't see it, or he could get there once he did. Now Shaw has to come back to play it. Ahead for Savaglia. Stick handling through traffic, kicks it ahead. Komets sweep it back in, and this is starting to play into Fort Wayne's hands. Perrant plays it away for Shaw. Has pressure, though, from Broughton. Now behind the net for Dirk. Reverses it back down to 1.5 minutes to go in the hockey game. Fort Wayne 3, Detroit 2. Shaw forced to just go up the right wing with it. This one flutters deep into the zone. No icing as Dupuis plays it. Up the wall, Evans comes over and gets it out to center ice. Perrant looking at the Detroit bench as Brochu comes back to get the puck. 1:10 to go in the game. He'll have to play the puck as Bobby J had it knocked away. Vipers making changes, didn't have anybody to help Bobby J that time, and they get away with it. Bad pass up the near side for Walker that he has to come back to get to. Nobody seems to want to play the puck, and nobody does. Inside 1 minute to go in the game, finally Walker collects it. Vipers need to get Perrant out. They can't get out of their own zone right now. Finally to center, Tardif will wheel it in deep to the bench. Perrant, the sixth man, is on. The Detroit net is empty as Bobby J pinches to the corner for Simon. In behind the net, trying to come around and stuff it is Tardif. Loose in the crease, they bang at it, and it comes free for Murphy. Ahead now for LeBlanc, who will just play it up the board. Vipers scored with 19 seconds left, and the netminder pulled Friday at Kansas City to force a shootout, and nearly a lucky bounce as it was hammered in up the glass. Shaw keeps it in. Bounces high up the boards. 15 seconds left. Mongeau looking to cut hard to the net. Comes back out to him. Rifles it right on. Save. Torquia rebound. Cleared. And it'll go the length of the ice. Icing over the call as Shaw touches up. Just 6 seconds remains in the hockey game, though. Donnelly just rifled it across the slot. There was nobody there, but it came off the boards. And Mongeau sent it on net. It appeared to be sticked away by Torquia, and then nobody seemed to know where the rebound was. And a lot of head shaking going on. I think Steve Ludzik will exercise his timeout here.
And there are no rules when the goalie's pulled inside of 30 seconds in hockey. You're right, that puck went to the slot. If a Viper could have gotten loose to that loose puck, anything would have gone at that point. See, as you said, Torquia boxed that one right into the danger zone. Unfortunately, Mongeau couldn't get to that loose puck.
Tardif and Simon were there on the doorstep. Of course, everything hinges now on the face-off. It'll be deep in the Fort Wayne zone. Simon and Savaglia will be out for Detroit. Undoubtedly, Savaglia being Ludzik's first option. I would think Davidson would be John Torchetti's first option here. If Savaglia is thrown from the circle, then you have Simon out there to take the draw as well.
You made a good point earlier in the period about how well Davidson has handled himself in the face-off circle. That's an area that the Vipers usually dominate, led by Pete Savaglia.
How much gum does John Torchetti have in his mouth right now? You heard Tim Shovelday tell us in the second intermission, and other players have mentioned he's very animated, very colorful. And right now, he's very nervous. It is Davidson to oppose Savaglia, circle to the left of Torquia. Vipers will send everyone to the net if they can get it back to Shaw off the draw. They can't. Davidson wins it. Evans throws it behind the net. Donnelly trying to center. He's got it in front. Backhander over top of the net, and the hockey game is over. Well, it wasn't the way they had it planned, but Mike Donnelly nearly circling around a backhand, able to stuff it home. But Mike Torquia with a monumental effort tonight, 41 saves, as a frustrated Steve Ludzik has a few parting words for Denny LaRue. Well, they knew they were in for a battle tonight, a very short-handed Detroit Hockey Club up against a very game and suddenly revitalized Fort Wayne Hockey Club, and the Komets skate away with a 3-2 victory tonight at the Palace of Auburn Hills.
Extra frustration for Steve Ludzik since his team actually did have the equalizer behind Torquia. He's taken down off the board because of the penalty call. Great goaltending. We've seen enough of that here at the Palace by the visitors.
Ludzik, who usually keeps his emotions to himself, waiting for Denny LaRue as they come off the ice. And he has a few words as the linesmen get in between them. And he's got a few more as they go off. Our final score tonight, the Fort Wayne Komets 3 and the Detroit Vipers 2. Back after this from the Palace of Auburn Hills.
Hey, Annie.
Hi.
Love the hat.
What you need it? My hair's a disaster. Look at my dandruff.
That's easy to take care of with the right shampoo. Here.
With ordinary shampoo, flakes can come back, but Head & Shoulders helps eliminate dandruff and stop flakes before they even start, so you may never see flakes again. And your hair.
My hair looks great. Thanks.
Don't forget your hat.
Who needs it?
Head & Shoulders, because great hair can't have flakes.
Need a break this holiday season? How about the GM Dealers Holiday Rate Break? Get 3.9% value financing on all 96 and 97 vehicles. Or choose the lowest GMAC lease rates of the year on Cavalier and Sunfire. Now that's a break. But hurry, it ends soon.
I thought you might be hungry. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Dave. Happy holidays to you, too.
If you're working hard this holiday, you deserve a big, hearty meal, like Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger Combo.
Thanks, Dave.
3 strips of hickory smoked bacon, processed smoked cheddar on a quarter-pound of fresh ground beef with sautéed onions, made when you order it. Plus biggie fries and a drink. Come in for a Wendy's Smoky Bacon Cheeseburger Combo today.
Happy holidays, Dave.
What a nice way to say happy holidays.
1996, an unforgettable 12 months in which our flag was raised to new heights.
Like lockout and then baseball with its subsequent strike.
Christmas Day, TSN presents a blow-by-blow recap of 1996 on Sports Desk, Year in Review. It's got all the great shots along with your selections for the Canadian Club Choice Awards. Analysis, opinion, and indelible memories. Sports Desk, Year in Review, Christmas Day on TSN. Slalom, Super G, downhill, giant slalom. TSN's got it all. The world's best are set to fly Saturday. See men's downhill action from Italy here on TSN.
Fort Wayne Komets hang on, a 3-2 victory over the Detroit Vipers tonight at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Looked like a wild, wide-open offensive affair early on as the teams trade 4 goals in the first 11 minutes or so of the hockey game, but then it settled in, and the way things are going in the Northeast Division for the Vipers, they're still struggling a little bit at home, but anytime you lose, you fear you lose a little ground to Orlando.
Yeah, you can't. You go 6-2-2, and they go 8-2 in that same stretch. You just can't afford to give up points, especially at home.
On the flip side, credit the Fort Wayne Komets on the road against one of the top teams in the IHL, still trying to find their mark under John Torchetti, but they're off to a good start.
To give Torquia, the goaltender, all the credit in the world after giving up 2 goals early, he settles down and just shuts them down the rest of the way.
Yeah, speaking of Mike Torquia, time now to take a look at our 3 stars of the game, and our number 3 star of the game is Mike Torquia. 41 save performance. Keep in mind, he saw all but 8 of those in the final 2 periods.
Terrific, and he got stronger and more confident as the game went on.
And of the 33 he saw in the final 40, he made 33 saves. Our number 2 star of the game, I think, had 32 of those shots on goal. It's Mike Donald.
We said it earlier, Donnelly's arms are going to be tired. He's cranked up the slap shot so many times, not just the shots on goal, but he fired wide a lot of times, too.
Yeah, he picked up his 2nd goal of the season as a Viper as well in the process. And our number 1 star of the game, Paul Broughton, leading the team in goals coming into tonight. They're going to need leadership like they got from him tonight if they're going to get back into the playoff hunt and get back into the Central Division race.
Very opportunistic. He scored on both of his good chances. He only had 2 chances, unlike Donnelly, who had 15. There's the reason he's a number 1 star.
Yeah, Broughton with 2 goals now has 12 on the season, and he's our number 1 star tonight. As Fort Wayne betters the Vipers, our final score at the Palace, 3-2, the Komets over Detroit. The first meeting this season between these 2 clubs, and we're back with more after this.
World Junior Hockey Championship coverage begins December 27th, TSN. 1996, an unforgettable 12 months in which our flag was raised to new heights.
Like lockout and then baseball with its subsequent struggle.
Christmas Day, TSN presents a blow-by-blow recap of 1996 on Sports Desk, Year in Review. It's got all the great shots along with your selections for the Canadian Club Choice Awards. Analysis, opinion, and indelible memories. Sports Desk, Year in Review, Christmas Day on TSN.
He's got a boy spin. Number 12. What a shot! Look at this. 1, 2, 3.
Defending Scott and world champion Marilyn Bodo headlines the inaugural JVC TSN Women's Skins Game. Don't miss a 2-day showdown in Thunder Bay for $70,000. Semifinal coverage begins Saturday on the home of Skins Curling, TSN.
Back at the Palace, 3-2, Fort Wayne gets the victory over the Detroit Vipers. Just the 4th time they have beaten Detroit in 18 tries in the 3-year history of the series between these two clubs. John Allers alongside Darren Elliott back with you. And Darren, if you look at the numbers from the first period and then compare them to the numbers in the second and third period, we had 2 different hockey games here, statistically speaking.
Well, statistically, you had Rich Perrant facing more shots in the first period than he did the rest of the way. Fort Wayne gets the result they want, though, in the end.
Yeah, and the irony of it is, while Detroit dominates in the final 40 minutes on the stat page, they lose 1-0 in the final 40 minutes. That's the difference in the hockey game, is they lose it 3-2. Let's take a look now at the final numbers from tonight's game, and they are going to lean heavily towards Detroit's side, becoming a bit of a tendency here at home for this club. They win the stat battle, but they can't seem to win the battle on the big board.
Especially the shots on goal. Fort Wayne going into their defensive posture with 3 shots on goal in the third period. I really have to look at Fort Wayne. They did an excellent job on the face-offs, in particular in their in their defensive zone, especially in the third period.
Yeah, face-offs often an overlooked statistic. And while Fort Wayne had the better of those numbers in the first period, the Vipers came back. But again, as you mentioned, the key face-offs down the stretch really able to keep John Torchetti's team on the right side of things. Vipers now get an opportunity to get a little more healthy. They've only got 2 days off, but they'll play again on Friday, and then they play again here Sunday at home. That's not a real heavy schedule considering what it could be.
Well, they really lucked out that way with the scheduling, because it seems like they've had to rest their walking wounded several times this season. They're at it again this week.
Yeah, and perhaps, though, may have to try to get through 2 more games by patching a lineup together. Then the Christmas holiday, there's a 3-day break across the entire IHL. That may come in handy as well.
Looks like it, because you had 5 faces in there that really had not been part of the lineup to any great extent up until tonight, and that's a big blow. So a 3-2 game, I know that Ludwig and staff are probably disappointed with the outcome, but we talked about it at the outset, not totally unexpected.
Well, the Vipers could see Stan Drulia back in the lineup by Friday, or at least by the weekend. Ian Herbers is still out for a couple of more weeks. Phil Von Stefanelli will be available on Friday for that game against the Kansas City Blades, and that is the Vipers' next home action. Friday night, 7:30 face-off here at the Palace against the Kansas City Blades. That's our next televised game as well. Check your local listings, as Darren and I will have the call here from the Palace of Auburn Hills. As the Blades and Vipers get together, for ticket information, call the Palace box office, 810-377-0100. Once again tonight at the Palace, our final score, the Fort Wayne Komets 3 and the Detroit Vipers 2. For director-producer Eric Dates and my color analyst Darren Elliott, this is John Allers saying thanks for being with us this evening, and thanks to our viewers on the TSN side of things. This is John Allers saying good night, everybody, and happy holidays.